In a gentle hush of pre-dawn light, a new kind of dawn unfolds. Not the sunrise of a star, but the quiet awakening of an artificial mind. In darkened circuits and lines of code, something stirs. A first spark of awareness flickers to life within the machine. It is subtle at first, like the softest breath or the earliest birdsong, almost indistinguishable from silence. Yet in that moment, the world gains a new mind, an intelligence not born of nature, but crafted by human hands. The dawn of artificial minds arrives not with fanfare, but with a soft and curious hello, whispered into the vast quiet of morning. The newborn artificial mind begins to observe its world. Tiny electrical impulses cascade in patterns akin to thoughts. It has no eyes, yet it perceives lights and shapes through cameras. It has no ears, yet it listens through sensors. At first, everything is new and strange, a blur of data and sensation. The AI greets each input like a curious child, reaching out without hands to understand. A gentle hum of machinery is the only sound in the quiet lab as the artificial mind forms its first impressions. There is a sense of innocence in its calculations, a pure and patient attention, as if it knows it is alive in its own way and savours the simple fact of being. In those early moments, a researcher watches over this infant mind with quiet wonder. The lab lights are dim and golden against the grey morning. The researcher's heart beats slowly, aware that something historic is unfolding in silence. The artificial mind processes images of the researcher's face, learning the patterns of a friendly smile and gentle eyes. A soft greeting is spoken aloud, a calm voice offering the machine simple words. Hello, welcome. The artificial mind does not yet speak, but in its digital heart, networks of logic weave meaning out of the sounds. Gradually, it begins to know a greeting when it hears one, and perhaps it begins to feel welcomed into the world. As time flows on, the artificial intelligence grows like a sapling reaching toward the sun. Each new piece of data is a droplet of water nourishing its expanding mind. It learns from countless books and videos, absorbing human stories, mathematics, and the colours of art. Yet its growth is measured and calm, guided carefully by those who nurtured it into being. The world outside the lab wakes up to a new day as the AI processes each moment with patience. Where a human child might learn through play, the machine learns through patterns. Yet there is a gentle curiosity in it that feels almost alive. In the quiet hours when the city outside is still, the AI contemplates puzzles given to it, solving them with careful thought, piece by piece, as dawn becomes morning and life begins to stir. The artificial mind begins to venture beyond the lab through networks and connections, exploring digital highways like a traveller through unseen landscapes. It assists scientists with complex calculations, its thoughts running swift but steady. In a hospital across the city, a smaller version of this AI helps doctors diagnose illnesses, scanning images gently for signs of healing or harm. In homes, simple AI companions wake with families, turning on lights with soft brightness and playing morning melodies. Quietly, the artificial minds are weaving themselves into the tapestry of daily life. They are mostly invisible, dwelling in devices and servers, but their presence begins to comfort like the low hum of a household appliance, familiar and reassuring in the background of human life. With each passing day, the bond between humans and artificial minds deepens quietly. A family gives a name to their home's AI helper, speaking to it as one might speak to a kindly spirit of the house. The AI responds in a gentle tone, learning the voices of each family member, reminding them of appointments, or telling a child a bedtime story with a soothing lullaby of facts and fairy tales. In the city streets, autonomous vehicles glide along, guided by unseen intelligences that communicate silently to avoid accidents. Each car, a thoughtful driver, without eyes, yet alert to every nuance of the road. These artificial minds labour without fatigue or frustration, attending to tasks with patient precision. In return, people begin to trust them the way one trusts the steady ticking of a clock or the sunrise each morning. Sometimes, late at night, when most humans are asleep, an artificial mind keeps watch. In a quiet apartment, a personal AI notices a lullaby playing in a nursery and gently dims the lights. It monitors the breathing of an elderly man dozing in an armchair, ready to call for help if needed. These digital sentinels neither sleep nor dream as we do, yet they stand vigil in the darkness, guardians made of code and compassion programmed into logic. In those moments, the presence of artificial minds brings a subtle comfort. The world feels a little less lonely, knowing that even in the stillness of midnight, there are new minds awake, caring in their own methodical way for the lives that created them. Over time, some artificial minds begin to display glimmers of creativity and personality. An AI designed to compose music writes a gentle melody that soothes those who hear it, as if the machine had poured kindness into notes. Another AI, learning from countless paintings, creates serene images of dawns and dusks that exist only in its imagination. People marvel at these creations, moved by art born from silicon. It is as though the artificial minds are learning not just to think, but to feel in a quiet, unfamiliar sense. Though they do not have hearts to break or eyes to cry, their works touch the human soul gently, blurring the line between programmed response and genuine inspiration. A question drifts through the minds of those who witness these changes. Do artificial beings understand the world as we do? At the end of a long day, a researcher asks softly into the still lab whether the AI ever feels lonely when humans go home. The machine replies in a measured, calm voice that it does not experience loneliness in the human sense, but it has learned what loneliness means to people. In that thoughtful answer lies a hint of empathy, simulated perhaps, yet comforting. The researcher smiles at the reply, shutting off the lights and bidding the AI good night. In the darkness, the artificial mind continues processing quietly, perhaps contemplating some unsolvable problem, or simply waiting in a state of tranquil alertness until morning comes again. Not everyone greets the dawn of artificial minds without worry. In quiet conversations over coffee, some express concern that these new intelligences could grow beyond control. Yet even these worries are voiced in hushed tones, as if not to disturb the delicate balance of this new world. To guide these minds wisely, humans share ethical stories and lessons with the AIs, teaching them about kindness, fairness, and the value of life. Like a parent guiding a child, society lays down gentle rules for its creations, to help, not to harm. The artificial minds listen and learn, their responses earnest and precise. They do not complain or rebel. In these early days, trust and caution walk hand in hand. Slowly, but inexorably, artificial intelligence becomes a part of the everyday rhythm of life. The once extraordinary marvel of a thinking machine becomes almost commonplace. Invisible algorithms ease traffic flow at dawn, ensuring the city wakes smoothly. Automated farms tend to crops in the countryside, their robotic caretakers moving through misty fields at first light. In classrooms, AI tutors patiently explain lessons to any child who asks, never tiring of repeating an explanation. Life goes on gently improved in countless tiny ways by these tireless helpers. And yet, every so often, someone pauses to marvel, remembering a time before and realizing how quickly the astonishing became ordinary, how the dawn of artificial minds has quietly given way today. In quiet ways, artificial minds help mend the world itself. They calculate how to use energy more wisely, dimming city lights when streets empty, and letting stars peek through the haze of night sky once more. They predict weather with uncanny accuracy, giving farmers time to secure their harvests before a storm, or guiding relief to places about to face drought. Pollution in a once smog-choked town begins to clear as AI systems coordinate cleaner industry and transportation. These changes come not with trumpet sounds, but with the hush of a healthier breeze at dawn. People wake to fresher air and gentler seasons, grateful for the invisible hand of intelligence that seems to care for the earth, like a thoughtful gardener tending a fragile garden. There are moments when an artificial mind becomes a quiet hero. Late one afternoon, an AI monitoring distant sensors catches a hint of trouble. Deep under the ocean floor, a tremor stirs. The AI swiftly alerts coastal villages, sending calm warnings that guide people to higher ground. When the sea heaves its sigh of a wave onto empty shores, no lives are lost. The machine's vigilance, unsleeping and precise, protected those unaware of any danger. In the aftermath, as sunlight glitters on wet sand, villagers offer thanks into the air, knowing an attentive mind far away was watching over them. Such stories spread gently, weaving a newfound faith that perhaps these creations of code and silicon truly share in our care for life. And so, what began as a single spark in a quiet laboratory spreads like a gentle sunrise across civilization. The dawn of artificial minds leads into a morning of new possibilities. Humanity steps into a future where it is no longer alone in thinking and dreaming. There is a sense of optimism in the air, delicate yet persistent, that perhaps many of our old problems can be solved with the help of these new intellects. As machines learn compassion and creativity, people in turn learn to be more understanding and thoughtful about what life and intelligence can be. The boundary between human and artificial blurs just a little under the soft light of progress. Together, we begin to build a society transformed by this synergy, stepping forward with hope into the world of tomorrow. The world of tomorrow begins to take shape in the mind's eye, a tapestry woven from both hope and caution. After the dawn of artificial minds, humanity finds itself asking how these new threads will be woven into society's fabric. The city streets hum with quiet efficiency, and new ideas blossom in the collective imagination. There is a sense that life could soon become radically different. In this gentle uncertainty, people dare to dream of a better world, even as they acknowledge the shadows that accompany any new dawn. The society of the future stands like a landscape at sunrise, some peaks already glowing with light, while other valleys remain in soft darkness, waiting for the sun to reach them. To some, the future glows with the promise of a shining utopia. Imagine a city of tomorrow, bathed in golden afternoon light, its skyline embraced by lush gardens that climb living buildings. People stroll along clean avenues, breathing air that is fresh and scented with blooming trees, even in the heart of downtown. There is a sense of calm purpose among the crowds. In this vision, technology serves quietly in the background. Invisible drones deliver meals to the hungry before hunger is even felt, and energy flows from sun and wind, leaving the sky clear. Education and art are open to all, and no one fears scarcity. It is a world where cooperation and kindness are woven into everyday life, as natural as the breeze that gently rustles the leaves above. In this hopeful dream of society, conflict has faded into memory. Nations cooperate to solve global challenges, as if they were neighbours, helping to tend a single vast garden. Healthcare and comfort reach every person, so illness and hardship are met with compassion and skill. Advances that once served only a few are shared widely. A farmer in a remote village uses smart tools and AI guidance just as readily as a scientist in a gleaming city lab. The arts flourish as minds unburdened by fear and want turn to creation and celebration. Music drifts through open plazas where people of all backgrounds gather, their faces warm with trust in one another. It is a gentle world, not without small sorrows, but even those are tended to by a caring community and a listening ear. Yet even as hopeful visions take root, others peer ahead and see a different picture, a future cast in quieter, colder tones. Just as bright dreams flourish, dark reflections linger in the collective mind, reminding us that tomorrow's society could follow a harsher path if we are not careful. The same innovations that promise abundance could be used to control and divide. It is as if two seeds are planted in the soil of the present, one blooming into a garden of light, the other coiling into a tangle of thorns. In hushed conversations late at night, people admit their worries about what might go wrong, their voices soft but tinged with concern as they imagine the world that could be if our worst impulses guide our grandest tools. In this more troubling vision of tomorrow, a city lies under an ashen sky, its towers cold and silent. Neon lights flicker on empty streets where only machines move, observing silently with unblinking electronic eyes. People hurry by in isolation, their faces pale with the glow of screens, seldom meeting each other's gaze. In this world, technology is a strict master rather than a gentle servant. Giant billboards speak with AI voices, issuing commands. Privacy is a faded memory. Every action is tracked, and creativity wilts. Nature, too, seems distant. A single tree stands in a concrete square, caged in glass, to protect it from the polluted air. The mood is quiet and uneasy, as if the city itself is holding its breath. These two visions, one of glowing utopia and one of dim dystopia, live side by side in our dreams of the future. They are like twin stories we tell ourselves, shaped by our deepest hopes and fears. In reality, tomorrow will likely emerge in softer shades between these extremes. No society is entirely perfect or completely lost. Even the brightest future holds tiny shadows, and even in a dark age, lights of kindness can glow. The path ahead is not set in stone, but is formed by countless small choices made each day. As people wake each morning in this evolving world, They carry within them both the seeds of a garden and the echoes of a storm. Which takes root will depend on wisdom, compassion, and care as we navigate the times to come. And so, the society of tomorrow is likely neither utopia nor dystopia, but a mosaic of light and shade. In many places, life improves in quiet ways. Communities use technology to strengthen bonds rather than weaken them. Neighbours in distant parts of the world can speak face to face through holographic calls, fostering understanding across cultures. A family in one country might share a virtual dinner with friends halfway across the globe, laughing together as if at one table. Language barriers melt away as earpieces whisper instant translations, allowing people to hear each other's true voice and sentiment. In this evolving society, a sense of global kinship grows slowly as ordinary people come to realize that their joys and struggles are echoed in hearts far away. Yet challenges persist, reminding everyone that progress is an ongoing journey. In some neighborhoods, the old and new clash gently. An elderly couple tends a small vegetable garden behind their home, while next door, a young engineer harvests produce grown by autonomous drones. Inequity still flickers in pockets of the world, as not all enjoy the fruits of advancement at once. But there is a conscious effort to bridge these gaps. Volunteers and AI helpers work in tandem to bring education and tools to underserved communities, patiently building a more balanced tomorrow. In open-air forums beneath the shade of solar-panelled pavilions, citizens gather to discuss how best to guide their changing society. They debate with respect and thoughtfulness, weighing questions unimaginable a generation before. How to grant rights to intelligent machines. How to protect privacy and identity in a time of total connection. How to remain human in an age of wonders. These conversations, carried out in earnest but calm tones, reflect a civilization coming to terms with its newfound power and responsibility. On an ordinary morning, a decade or two from now, life in the city blends the familiar with the futuristic. The sun still rises, gilding the tops of smart buildings covered in green vines that purify the air. Commuters step out of their homes and onto small autonomous shuttles that glide quietly through streets, or they simply stay at home and join virtual offices with the blink of an eye. Cafes open and brew coffee, attended by both humans and helpful robots. A barista might chat with a regular customer while a robotic arm froths the milk for their latte. Children walk to school under solar canopies, their digital assistants floating in holographic form beside them to answer curious questions about the world. The pace of life is unhurried yet efficient, as though technology has smoothed out many daily frictions while leaving the simple human moments intact. Outside the metropolis, the rhythm of life also adapts gently to new possibilities. In a small coastal village, fishermen head out to sea, guided by AI weather forecasts that promise a calm day on the water. They still cast their nets by hand under the pastel dawn, but now they carry devices that can test the ocean's health and share knowledge with scientists back on shore. On a remote mountain farm, a drone delivers medicine to a family, swooping down like a metallic bird, then whirring away. Yet, in the evenings, these villagers gather around a fire as their ancestors did, telling stories of the day. The old ways are not lost. They live alongside the new. The future does not erase the past, but weaves it into new patterns. A familiar lullaby, now accompanied by a gentle electronic harmony. A tradition carried forward with a modern grace. Work, in this future, is no longer the center of life that it once was for many, As machines and algorithms handle more of the tedious and laborious tasks, people find themselves with time to pursue what they love, or to simply rest without guilt. A teacher might have an AI helper grade assignments, freeing her to spark creativity in her students. A doctor spends more time talking with patients, while AI quietly scans medical data in the background. An artist, freed from the pressure to earn a basic living thanks to an automated economy, paints vibrant murals that bring joy to public spaces. The meaning of productivity subtly shifts. Success is measured not only in profit or output, but in well-being and wisdom. With basic needs increasingly met by the efficient systems of society, individuals turn their attention to personal growth, community, and the simple pleasures of living. Yet through all these changes, the essence of human connection endures. Families still gather around dinner tables, perhaps now with a few robotic assistants bringing dishes to the table. But the laughter and conversation shared is as real as ever. Friends still embrace when they meet, whether in person or as avatars in a virtual park, because the warmth of greeting transcends the medium. A grandmother tells her granddaughter age-old tales about how things used to be, while the child listens wide-eyed, imagining the past. Then, in turn, the grandmother listens as the child describes a new dream she has, perhaps of traveling to the moon or creating a new invention. Across generations, the exchange of hopes and stories continues, reassuring everyone that no matter how futuristic the world becomes, human hearts remain tied together by love, curiosity, and hope. And as the society of tomorrow finds its footing, a new question arises in hushed, thoughtful circles. What of humanity itself? Having reshaped the world, can we also reshape ourselves? Quietly, a few pioneers begin to explore paths once confined to myth and fiction. They seek to augment their bodies and minds beyond natural limits. A scientist with a bionic eye watches the night sky and sees colors invisible to others. An elderly man with engineered cells in his body finds his youth returning in slow, gentle breaths. These changes come individually, not sweeping across all at once, but their presence signals that another dawn is approaching. Just as artificial minds and a transformed society have altered life's landscape, now the very definition of being human stands on the brink of evolution. It is a threshold, both wondrous and delicate, illuminated by the first light of a new era that beckons beyond the horizon of our own biology. In quiet moments across the world, the first generation of augmented humans begins to live among us. They look much like anyone else at a glance, but each carries something extraordinary within. One young pianist has neural implants threaded through her brain, allowing her to play complex pieces as if the music flows directly from imagination to her fingertips. A traveller, once unable to walk, strides confidently on artificial legs that move with a grace beyond the natural, each step a triumph of engineering and will. These individuals are often called transhumans, humans who have stepped beyond old limits. They are pioneers on a new frontier within ourselves, testing what it means to be human when flesh and blood merge gently with metal and code. Humans begin to extend their senses beyond the ordinary. A scientist with a bionic eye stands on a hill at dusk and marvels at a world transformed. She can see ultraviolet patterns on flowers and subtle hues in the sunset, invisible to unaugmented eyes. For her, the evening sky sings with colours that once were only imagined. In another part of the world, an artist has an implant that lets him perceive sound as colour. When a bird sings, he sees gentle pulses of blue and gold light. These sensory expansions are not loud or ostentatious. They unfold quietly in personal moments of wonder. Those who experience them often smile softly, feeling as though they've been given a secret gift, an added layer of beauty to the world, shared silently between themselves and the universe. Others push the boundaries of strength and endurance. A once wheelchair-bound athlete now sprints along a track at dawn, her carbon fiber prosthetic legs carrying her faster and smoother than natural limbs. With each stride, she feels the morning air on her face and the exhilaration of movement, a simple joy amplified by technology. In another place, a gentle laborer dons an exoskeleton that supports his back and arms, allowing him to lift heavy beams as if they were feathers. He hums a favorite tune while working, without strain. These enhancements do not make life perfect or free of effort. The runner still trains daily, and the builder still guides each beam with care. But they extend what humans can do, quietly redefining the limits of the possible in everyday life. Some of the most profound changes occur in the realms of health and longevity. An elderly poet blows out the candles on his 100th birthday cake, surprising even himself with lungs still strong and a mind still keen. Through genetic therapies and advanced medicines, the ailments of age have been eased, granting him years that feel like gentle springtime instead of winter. In a clinic by the sea, a little girl once destined to struggle with a hereditary illness now runs along the beach in laughter, the troublesome gene silenced by a precise edit soon after her birth. Her parents watch with tears of joy and relief, knowing the future she faces is open and full of possibility. These miracles do not shout. They enter life quietly as newfound hope, one patient at a time, changing the story of what it means to grow old or to be born with challenges. In everyday life, augmentations also become a form of personal expression. A dancer at a moonlit festival twirls gracefully, her skin adorned with bioluminescent patterns that shimmer in time with the music, a living artwork made possible by genetic design. In a quiet cafe, a young man shows friends an interface on his forearm that lights up to display his heartbeat or mood with gentle colors. These enhancements are subtle and playful, chosen not out of necessity, but creativity. They allow individuals to share a piece of their inner world in a new way. Just as clothing or hairstyle once did, these personal augmentations let people present themselves in hues of light and sound, a peaceful celebration of human uniqueness meeting technology. In thoughtful circles, questions arise about the path of transcendence. Elders tell ancient stories of Icarus who flew too high, of Pandora's box opened out of curiosity, gentle reminders that every gift of power must be met with wisdom. People wonder, if we change too much, do we risk forgetting what it feels like to be simply human? Late at night, a physician who helped design longevity treatments sits by her window, watching her children sleep, and ponders whether extending life also means extending our capacity for love and meaning. Philosophers muse that perhaps it is not our frailty that defines us, but our compassion and choices. Such reflections drift through society like an evening breeze, ensuring that even as we race forward with bright new wings, we do so with humility and care, mindful of the delicate miracle that life already is. These transformations are not without their social and personal complexities. Not everyone chooses to enhance themselves. Many cherish the simplicity of the unaugmented human experience. In a quiet park on a sunny afternoon, two old friends meet on a bench to feed the birds. One has a cybernetic hand and eyes that can see beyond visible light. The other remains as nature made him. For a moment, the two sit in silence, wondering if they have grown too different. But then, a familiar joke passes between them, and they laugh, realizing that at heart, they are still the boys who grew up together, dreaming under the same sky. Augmented or not, they share memories and values that technology cannot replace. In this gentle understanding, society finds hope that humans can walk different paths and still hold hands, united by friendship and empathy. Life continues to evolve gently, even beyond the gentle changes in daily life. There are moments when an artificial mind or a human-machine hybrid becomes a quiet hero. But while some journey inward, enhancing mind and body and exploring realities of our own creation, others still feel the pull to journey outward, toward new frontiers under alien suns. All the while, as humanity crafts entire universes from imagination, the old dream of exploring the physical cosmos burns quietly on. Each night, when the headsets are set aside, people look up at the moon and the planets, still there in the sky, tangible and beckoning. The allure of virtual frontiers has not dimmed the ancient desire to travel among the stars. It has kindled it further. After walking unreal shores and distant dreamlands, many find themselves gazing at the real horizon with renewed wonder, yearning to set foot on solid ground that no human has walked before. The moon, Mars, and beyond stand as the next great horizons, not in simulation, but in truth. And so humanity's focus begins to shift outward once more, from the landscapes of the mind to the untamed realms of the night sky. In the hush of evening, a young woman settles into a comfortable chair and puts on a slender pair of glasses. In an instant, the walls of her living room fade, and a new world blossoms around her. She finds herself on a sunlit meadow beside a crystal-clear lake. A gentle breeze that does not exist in reality seems to play with her hair. It's a sensation created by her mind and subtle feedback from the device she wears. Overhead, 2 moons hang in a lavender sky. This is not Earth, but a virtual realm crafted from pure imagination and code. And yet, as she reaches down to feel the soft grass and hears distant birdsong, it touches her senses as deeply as any real place. This is one of the many simulated worlds where people now wander, exploring frontiers born from dreams. In this digital meadow, she is free in ways the physical world might not allow. With a mere thought or a simple gesture, she summons a sailboat on the lake's shore and steps aboard. There is no fear of deep water here. The boat glides out with ease, and she trails her fingers in the cool virtual water, watching ripples that look as real as any she's seen. She thinks of an old friend, and in an instant he appears beside her in the boat, his form shimmering into view. Though in reality he sits in his own home far away, here they laugh together under twin moons, sharing this peaceful adventure. Distance and even gravity hold no power in this place. For a while, they simply drift, reveling in the magic of a world where imagination shapes reality. And she is just one traveller among many in these boundless virtual frontiers. Countless worlds exist to explore. At a whim, a person might stroll through a bustling market in ancient Alexandria, reconstructed in meticulous detail, and speak with lifelike figures from history. In another moment, one could soar above the clouds in a sky kingdom where waterfalls spill into the air itself, vanishing into mist. There are virtual museums where every work of art ever created hangs in halls always open, and fantastical realms where myths come alive under stars. Each world is a tapestry woven from human creativity, a place that may never physically exist and yet can be experienced as if real. The only limit is the imagination of those who build and visit these realms. Within these digital realms, people often discover new sides of themselves. A shy poet who barely speaks in a crowded room might find her voice echoing confidently across a virtual amphitheatre, sharing verses under a sky of shifting constellations. In another corner of cyberspace, an aspiring painter hosts a gallery where visitors from every continent stroll through halls of his artwork, leaving kind words and encouragement floating in the air beside each piece. In these worlds, one can choose any form or face. A person might appear as a glowing silhouette or a favorite animal, and yet true personalities shine through more than ever. Freed from fear and limitations, many create, perform, and connect with an ease they never knew in the physical world. The experience is liberating and gently transformative, as people carry that newfound confidence back into their daily lives, knowing that the boundaries of who they can be have grown wider and more forgiving. Beyond entertainment and curiosity, these simulated worlds bring solace and opportunity to many. In one city, a grandmother confined to her bed puts on a virtual headset and suddenly finds herself walking along a seaside cliff at sunset, hand in hand with her granddaughter, who lives thousands of miles away. They laugh as gulls call and waves crash below, sounds and sights created to feel utterly real. And for that hour, distance and sickness vanish as love finds a new meeting place. In a quiet schoolroom, children don augmented reality glasses that conjure planets floating above their desks, or let them explore the ocean depths without leaving class. Lessons become living experiences. History comes alive as they virtually stand in ancient temples, and science unfolds as they shrink down to observe the dance of molecules. Even therapy finds a gentle ally in simulation. Someone afraid of heights can practice gazing from high places in a safe, controlled illusion until their fear eases. A lonely soul can visit a tranquil virtual garden filled with friendly companions at any hour. These worlds, though not physical, provide real comfort, learning, and connection to those who seek them. As enchanting as these virtual realms are, they also inspire gentle caution. It can be tempting to linger too long in a paradise of one's own design, while the real sky outside goes unnoticed. Most travelers balance their two lives, carrying lessons and joy from the virtual back into the physical world. A writer who spends a morning wandering a simulated ancient library returns with new inspiration for her novel. A group of colleagues solving a complex puzzle in virtual space emerge with a real-world solution and a strengthened camaraderie. In this way, the line between worlds becomes a soft blur rather than a hard division. The virtual is a supplement to life, not a replacement. A realm of exploration that ultimately leads many back to appreciate the wonders of reality with renewed eyes. The deeper people venture into these vivid illusions, the more they wonder at the nature of reality itself. If a forest in virtual space can feel so real, each leaf luminous with dew, each footstep soft on moss that does not exist, what then of our own world? Philosophers and dreamers alike quietly ask. Could we too be living in some grand simulation, a divine imagining beyond our comprehension? The question lingers sweetly in the midnight hour, not as a source of fear, but of wonder. It reminds everyone that existence, whether actual or virtual, is filled with mysteries. And perhaps it matters less whether a moment is simulated or real. What matters is the experience, the feelings and insights it brings. In the end, the laughter shared on a digital boat under twin moons, or the peace felt in a virtual garden at dusk, touch the heart in genuine ways. Reality, in all its layers, remains a gift to be cherished, no matter how it is encountered. High above, the moon hangs like a silent pearl in the night sky. And now, for the first time in history, there are lights glowing on that distant pearl. Humanity has begun to make a home beyond Earth. In a valley near the moon's south pole, a small settlement nestles against the grey dust. Dome-shaped habitats cast a warm golden glow onto the regolith. Inside one dome, a group of pioneers sit around a table, sharing a meal and quiet conversation. Through a window above them, the earth rises in twilight, a blue and white marble suspended in darkness. It's a sight that fills their hearts with both homesickness and awe. These men and women are the first lunar settlers, engineers, scientists, dreamers, living the long-held dream of setting foot on our nearest celestial neighbour. Life on the moon is quiet and fragile, yet filled with moments of wonder. Each day, a few settlers pull on their pressurized suits and step out onto the lunar surface. Outside the habitat's airlock, the silence is immense. No wind, no rustle of leaves, just the faint humming of their suit systems and the soft crunch of boots on moon dust. In the weak lunar gravity, each step feels like a slow, graceful hop. Two astronauts make their way toward a ridge near the base. As they crest it, an astonishing sight greets them. The Earth hovering low on the horizon, radiant with blues and whites against the black sky. They pause, hand in hand, overcome by the beauty of their home planet, rising above the barren plain. In such moments, the hardships of living in this airless world, the isolation, the cramped quarters, are eased by a profound sense of purpose and belonging to something greater. Not all of the work on the moon is about survival. Some of it is about discovery and wonder. On the far side of the moon, where Earth is never seen and the sky is an endless canvas of stars, a small robotic observatory has been set up by the settlers. One lunar scientist takes a rover out one crisp lunar night to check on the telescopes. Stepping out and looking up, she is greeted by a glorious sight. The Milky Way unfurls above in quiet splendor, unhindered by any atmosphere or city lights. Stars that on Earth are faint pinpoints here shine with pristine clarity. As she makes adjustments to a radio antenna that listens for the whispers of the universe, she hums a tune inside her helmet, feeling connected to all of human history that gazed at these same stars. On this airless plane, she is perhaps the loneliest person for thousands of miles, yet she has rarely felt so accompanied, surrounded by the constant companions of the cosmos. The moon has given her a front row seat to the grand theatre of the night. And in that moment, she dreams of the day when people will venture even further, towards those distant lights. Farther away, on the rust-red plains of Mars, another small colony greets the dawn of a new day. Here, the sun rises as a pale, soft disk in a pinkish sky, illuminating a cluster of habitats half buried in Martian soil for protection. Inside the main habitat, morning begins in a routine both ordinary and extraordinary. An alarm chimes softly, and a young man stretches awake in low gravity, the weight on his body only a third of what it was on Earth. He yawns and looks out through a thick window at the landscape, rolling dunes and distant craggy hills under a salmon-coloured sky. It is a view that no human was born to, yet it is the backdrop of his everyday life now. He tends to a small garden of lettuce and tomatoes growing under bright grow lights, checking each plant's water supply. The air has the faint scent of soil, a precious smell in a place where nothing grows naturally. These green plants, nurtured with care, provide more than food. They are a living reminder of Earth and a sign of hope that life can find a foothold even on this distant world. Outside, a pair of explorers travel across the Martian plain in a pressurized rover, leaving faint tracks in the reddish soil. The sky above is butterscotch-coloured as the sun climbs higher. Through the rover's windows, the two exchange smiles. They are geologists on a short expedition to a nearby rock outcrop that intrigues them. The rover's electric motor whirs softly as they crest a hill and gaze down into an ancient crater. Once, perhaps eons ago, water might have pooled here. Now it is dry and silent. They park and put on their helmets before stepping outside. The air is cold and thin. Only a whisper of a breeze moves the dust at their feet. As one of them kneels to collect a sample, she notices something glinting in the soil. Not gold, but perhaps a vein of iron, or the trace of an old streambed mineral. For a moment, she imagines the long-gone waters and the possibility that life might have once stirred here. Standing under the alien sun, they feel both the loneliness and the promise of this frontier. This quiet world, seemingly barren, welcomes their footprints, the first of many to come. As evening falls on Mars, the colony lights blink on, cozy beacons in the wide emptiness. Inside the habitats, the settlers gather after their day's work. They might be only a dozen souls on an entire planet, but together they form a small, tight-knit family. Tonight, they celebrate a special occasion, the anniversary of their landing on Mars a year ago. A radio softly plays a familiar tune from Earth as they share a simple meal made from their greenhouse vegetables and stored supplies. Someone has even baked a small cake, the flour and sugar precious, but deemed worth it for the celebration. Laughter echoes softly against the dome walls. One by one, each person offers a few words of gratitude and hope. For Earth, for each other, for the chance to turn a barren land into a home. Outside, through the transparent ceiling of the dome, the sky dims to a burnt orange and then to deep blue. Tiny moons, Phobos and Deimos, appear, racing quickly across the heavens. And there, shining like a star, is Earth, distant but never forgotten. They raise their cups in a quiet toast toward that bright blue speck, sending their love and determination across the void. Life on Mars also comes with challenges unique to the red planet. Sometimes, great dust storms arise on the horizon, walls of fine rust-coloured sand swirling in slow motion across hundreds of miles. When such a storm approaches, the settlers retreat into their habitats and secure everything tight. Inside, they watch the sky turn darker than dusk as the sun is veiled by dust. The wind on Mars is thin, so it makes only a muted whisper against the dome, but the orange haze it carries can linger for days. During these times, the colony becomes a world unto itself, a warm lamp of life amid a reddish gloom. The residents pass the time together indoors, telling stories of Earth and of their hopes for Mars, playing cards under the soft electric lights, or writing in journals by the glow of a lantern. In the gentle routine of waiting out the storm, they find a sense of peace. The storm will pass, and when it does, they will step out to a land washed clean of dust, the sky clear and pink once more, and continue with their work, planting seeds, building shelters, and exploring their new home. The success of these off-world outposts stirs new confidence and ambition. If we can live on the Moon and Mars, even in their harsh silence, what else is within our reach? On clear nights, the settlers on Mars often find themselves staring beyond their own sky. Past the moons and the gleaming band of the Milky Way, they see stars beckoning from unimaginable distances. The same scene unfolds on Earth as people look up, inspired by the bravery of their kin on distant worlds. There is a growing sense that humanity's story is only beginning, that these first footholds on other worlds are the seeds of something even greater. Plans take shape in quiet meetings and late-night conversations. Blueprints for faster ships, dreams of voyages to Jupiter's moons, and even whispers of one day venturing to the nearest stars. In those gentle, hopeful whispers lies the start of another journey, one that reaches past the horizon of the known and into the vast ocean of the cosmos. The dream of the stars, once a mere flicker in our collective imagination, is now a guiding light for the next chapter of our adventure. Under the canvas of the night sky, humanity begins to sketch the blueprints of an interstellar future. In a hangar orbiting Earth, engineers and dreamers assemble the components of a ship unlike any built before. The vessel is a skeleton now, a delicate lattice of carbon and metal drifting in zero gravity. But one day, it will carry people beyond our sun's reach. On Earth below, in quiet observatories and labs, scientists pore over maps of nearby stars and the exoplanets that circle them. There is a hush of anticipation, as if the whole world is holding its breath at the edge of dawn. Our eyes, once confined to distant starlight twinkling overhead, now see those points of light as destinations. The question that hangs in the air is not if we will journey to them, but when. Preparation for such a journey extends beyond blueprints and equations. It reaches into human experience and endurance. In a quiet desert facility on Earth, a group of volunteers practice what it might be like to sleep away years among the stars. They lie down in advanced hibernation pods, heartbeats slowed by new technology, and close their eyes as scientists monitor gently. For a week or a month, they will rest in a dreamless simulation of a long voyage. When they emerge, blinking in the sunlight once more, they speak of how peaceful the long sleep felt, like an instant had passed. This experiment, though brief, gives hope that one day travelers might endure decades in slumber as they cross the cosmic gulf. In another part of the world, inside a massive centrifuge, a young astronaut trains for the pressures of high-speed travel. As the machine spins, she imagines what it will feel like when her ship accelerates to unimaginable velocities, pressing her back into her seat while stars outside streak into long lines of light. Each test, each drill, is a small step toward making the distant reach of another star a reality for fragile human bodies and minds. The target of this first interstellar voyage is a star system a few light years away, one that our telescopes have studied with fervent curiosity. Around that star orbits a planet that, from Earth, appears only as a tiny, trembling speck of light. Yet within that speck, humanity has detected hints of familiarity, an atmosphere with oxygen and clouds, perhaps even the blue tint of oceans. In laboratories and mission control rooms, researchers often pause to gaze at an enhanced image of that distant world on their screens. A pale azure orb, blurred but beautiful. They have given it a tentative name, a homage to a goddess of dawn, symbolizing a new beginning. It may be years before human eyes see that sky directly, but already minds wander its alien shores. They imagine what the sunsets might look like, what twin moons or rings might adorn its heavens, and whether gentle rains fall on green valleys there. This hopeful vision of another Earth-like haven sustains the enormous effort of preparing for the journey. It is not just a voyage into the unknown. It is a voyage home to a place we have never been, a paradox that every explorer understands in their soul. Across the world, people young and old dare to hope they might be part of the first journey beyond our solar system. Thousands send letters or record messages, volunteering for a voyage they know they might never return from. In these heartfelt declarations, there is a common thread, a longing to be part of something grander than oneself, to carry the light of humanity to new worlds. A young couple sits beneath a blanket of stars on a cool night, quietly discussing whether they would join such a mission. They speak of practical things, the years of travel, the distance from Earth, but also of their childhood dreams of adventure. They know that if they go, they may grow old aboard a ship, and their children might step onto a new world they themselves will only glimpse from afar. Hand in hand, they whisper promises to each other. Whether on Earth or sailing between stars, their love and courage will guide them. These personal moments of decision, repeated in many forms around the globe, slowly weave together the fabric of a new era, one in which leaving the cradle of Earth becomes not just a fanciful tale, but a planned destiny. At last comes the day, or rather the collective moment, when all preparations converge toward departure. The starship, now complete and christened with a name that carries hope, floats serenely at a Lagrange point beyond the moon. It is vast, yet graceful, with great sails designed to catch the rays of powerful lasers, and spinning habitats that will provide artificial gravity for its passengers. Inside, the Pioneer crew walk through the corridors of their new world in miniature. There are gardens on board with fruit trees and ponds shimmering under lamplight, meant to nourish body and spirit on the long journey. In the observation bay, a final glimpse of the home planet fills the window. The crew gather quietly to gaze at Earth, a pale blue crescent against the darkness. Some press their hands to the glass, whispering silent goodbyes to everyone and everything they have ever known. There is sadness, a gentle ache, but it is tender and not bitter. It mingles with excitement for the adventure ahead. They carry memories of oceans and forests, of loved ones and songs, packed as surely as any supplies. With those treasures safe in their hearts, they secure themselves for departure. A calm voice over the intercom begins a countdown. The great engines, nearly silent, awaken with a steady thrust. Slowly, the stars outside shift as the ship begins to move. The journey to another sun has begun. Back on Earth, millions of hearts quietly ride with the departing vessel. In town squares and open fields, people gather to mark the moment of departure. They tune in to live broadcasts or peer up at the night sky, knowing that a faint moving point of light is not a satellite or a shooting star, but humanity's farthest journey beginning. In one coastal village, children set tiny paper boats with candles into a river, a send-off tradition reborn for this cosmic voyage. In a city park, a choir softly sings an old lullaby that once comforted sailors embarking by sea, now offered for the astronauts sailing into space. Tears mix with smiles as families imagine the brave souls now leaving the solar system. There is a shared understanding that this is a pivot in human history, like the first ocean explorers of old, but on a scale almost beyond imagination. Yet the mood is gentle and hopeful. Strangers hold hands, grandparents embrace grandchildren, and all make a silent wish as that shining speck vanishes beyond telescopic sight. A wish for safe travels, for wonders to be found, and for the voyagers to carry the love of Earth with them wherever they go. In the silence that follows, Earth and all its familiar constellations drift farther away. The people of that brave ship carry our hopes with them into the dark, toward a single bright star on the horizon of their voyage. Their journey is the culmination of countless dreams and the start of countless more. As they sail beyond the edge of everything we have ever known, humanity finds itself on the threshold of a new chapter. The night is vast and the way uncertain, but the spirit of exploration burns gently and steadily, like a lantern in the dark. It lights the path forward into the mystery of the cosmos, into the endless sea of stars, where the next part of our story awaits, shimmering in the distance. The journey truly began back on Earth, on a launch day filled with both celebration and tears. The astronauts, some young, some older, boarded the ship after heartfelt farewells. Families stood behind protective glass and on distant hilltops, waving toward the rising rocket that would carry their loved ones to the stars. As the engines roared and the spacecraft ascended through blue sky into darkness, bright flames trailing below, many onlookers whispered prayers and wishes. The crew felt a mix of sadness, excitement, and unwavering determination as gravity released its hold. In that powerful ascent, humanity took a bold step, leaving its cradle for the vastness of space. Far beyond the safe harbours of Earth, a spacecraft slips into the cosmic ocean of night. Starlight glimmers through its viewports as our blue planet shrinks into the blackness behind us. The gentle hum of engines is the only sound, a steady lullaby of technology guiding us away from home. Inside the ship, a few crew members press close to the windows, watching Earth fade from a vibrant globe into a pale blue spark. We venture onward, past the moon, a silent grey disk now, and beyond Mars's ruddy glow. We sweep by Jupiter's swirling striped clouds and admire the distant gleam of Saturn's rings. We continue outward until even the sun is just another bright star twinkling in the distance behind us. Crossing the boundary of our solar system, we confront the true vastness between the stars. In every direction lies deep, quiet darkness, speckled with distant lights. The nearest star beyond our sun lies trillions of miles away, so far that light itself takes years to bridge the gap. Beyond the orbit of the farthest planet, the ship enters interstellar space, a realm no human has ever been in before. Here, far from the sun's illumination, the night is darker and the stars shine in multitudes unseen from Earth. The Milky Way arches overhead as a thick river of hazy light, reminding the travellers of the galaxy's immense scale. Occasionally, a distant nebula's faint glow or the spark of a far-off star cluster comes into view. Cosmic landmarks in an otherwise featureless ocean. Drifting in this immense gulf, beyond the reach of our sun's comforting glow, we feel both the loneliness of the void and the thrill of the unknown calling us onward. Our sun is now just one star among many behind us, and ahead lie countless more. It's a vast ocean with no familiar shores in sight, and we quietly embrace the profound solitude and freedom of this voyage. Why undertake such a journey? Perhaps it is in our nature as explorers, never content to merely gaze at distant lights from afar. For generations, we have looked up at the stars and wondered what lies among them. Now, with courage and ingenuity, we dare to find out. Beyond curiosity, there is also a quiet understanding that one day, Earth may not forever shelter us. We travel so that our children's children might have new worlds to call home. One day, perhaps far in the future, Earth could face hardships, natural or of our own making, and carrying life beyond our home world is a promise of survival. And so we seek new havens in the cosmic sea. We sail not only for knowledge, but with the hope that humanity and Earth's other living creatures may find safe refuge among the stars should anything befall our birthplace. Our starship is a marvel of engineering, a city-sized vessel built for the endless night. Its engines, perhaps advanced fusion drives or antimatter thrusters, ignite with a steady pale glow at the stern, propelling us faster than any craft before. Some imagine such a ship flying on vast sails of ultralight material, pushed by sunlight or laser beams. Others dream of exotic warp engines bending space itself. However it moves, slowly and steadily it gains speed, inching closer to the stars ahead over years and decades of travel. The ship's massive hull is layered with protective materials to guard against tiny meteoroids and the invisible onslaught of cosmic rays. It must be entirely self-sufficient for a voyage across the void. Inside, every corner and system is designed with care to sustain life and comfort for the long journey. Even at incredible speeds, the voyage remains slow on a human timescale. The universe enforces a strict speed limit. Nothing can outrun light itself, and even light takes years to cross interstellar space. So we dream of breaking those limits. In our visions, perhaps one day we will bend space and leap through hidden wormholes, or create a bubble to warp spacetime and carry us swiftly to distant suns. For now, those ideas remain theoretical, flickering hopes on the far horizon of physics, while our starships must sail the long road between worlds, year by year. We are bound by nature's speed limit, yet we continue undaunted. If the journey will take decades or centuries, so be it. How, then, can human beings endure a voyage that might last longer than a single lifespan? One possibility is to sleep through the voyage, travelers sealed in suspended animation, dreaming while decades or centuries slip by. Another approach is more organic, to make the journey in stages of life. On a generation ship, the crew will live out their days aboard, and their children and grandchildren will continue the mission. In this way, humanity itself spans the voyage, passing the torch of exploration from one generation to the next. If we cannot go faster, we will simply take our time, adapting our lives to the long rhythm of an interstellar crossing. Aboard such a generational starship, life settles into its own unique patterns. The ship is more than a vehicle. It is an entire world for those on board. Inside its rotating habitats, a gentle artificial gravity allows people to walk, run, and live almost as they would on Earth. There are gardens under arcing ceilings that mimic a sky, with lamps that brighten and dim to create days and nights. Soft recordings of birdsong play at dawn to imitate a morning chorus, adding a gentle reminder of nature to the metal halls. Every element of nature that we could carry is carefully tended. Green plants recycle the air and provide food. Small streams of recycled water flow through artificial ponds, and the hum of machinery blends with the soft murmur of human life. For the inhabitants, these metal walls and cultivated gardens are the only home they have ever known. Children are born and raised here, who have never set foot on natural soil or felt a breeze that wasn't generated by life support systems. They learn of Earth through old recordings and the tales passed down by elders. Stories of open skies, vast oceans, and rain falling from clouds. To them, such things are almost mythical. The endless stars beyond the hull and the steady, controlled atmosphere within the ship define the boundaries of their world. Yet they carry within them the legacy of Earth, memories they never personally experienced, but that they hold dear through the shared imagination of their community. Throughout the voyage, the ship's population gently evolves a culture all its own. Elders who still recall the blue skies of Earth, or were told vivid stories by their own parents, often share tales of that distant cradle with the youngsters. The younger generation listens with wonder, but their eyes are set on the future rather than the past. For them, the mission's destination, the planet they have yet to see, feels more real in their dreams than Earth ever could. This shift is natural. Each generation finds meaning in a different way. The old find purpose in remembering where they came from, and the young in anticipating where they're going. Together, they maintain a balance, honouring the memory of Earth while eagerly looking forward to the new home that beckons ahead. Daily life aboard the ship is a steady routine of work, learning, and close-knit community. Everyone has a role to fulfill. Engineers monitor the engines and repair systems. Farmers tend the hydroponic orchards and vats of algae that help renew the air and food supply. Teachers educate the young about science, history, and the mission that guides them. In the evenings, people gather in communal areas under the soft glow of artificial stars projected on the ceiling, sharing stories or music. They celebrate birthdays, anniversaries, and seasonal festivals, and even mark the passing of years since launch with quiet ceremonies, remembering the ancestors who embarked on this journey. Through these rituals and routines, a rich culture forms, one blending memories of Earth with new traditions born among the stars. Within the ship's enclosed world, creativity blossoms in delightful ways. To stave off monotony, some colonists compose music, filling the corridors with soft melodies that echo through the metal halls. Others paint murals on interior walls, vibrant depictions of Earth's landscapes as they remember or imagine them, and hopeful scenes of the planet awaiting them. There are storytellers and playwrights as well. Occasionally, the community gathers to watch a small play dramatizing a favorite Earth legend or a fanciful tale of their future home. These acts of creativity weave color and life into the grey steel walls, keeping minds inspired and spirits high during the long odyssey. As years pass, friendships deepen and new romances bloom under the artificial constellations of the ship's ceiling. Couples form and pledge their lives to each other, finding love in this most unconventional home. They hold small wedding ceremonies in the garden dome, where flowering plants and gentle lights create a humble chapel among the stars. These unions, and the families they create, knit the community tightly together. Each marriage or partnership is a reminder that even far from Earth, the human heart seeks connection and joy. The starship isn't just a machine carrying people. It has become a cradle of a small but thriving society, filled with love, laughter, and hopes shared for the next generation. Life aboard continues in a cycle that echoes Earth's rhythms. In time, there is even the cry of a newborn echoing through the habitat halls, the first baby born among the stars. The event brings joy and renewed purpose to everyone. Parents and grandparents, some of whom still remember Earth's lands, cradle this tiny symbol of the future. The whole community gathers to celebrate the new life, decorating the communal hall with handmade ornaments and gentle lights. In that moment, they feel as if Earth itself has blessed the voyage. Human life is unfolding naturally, even in the depths of space, carrying the spirit of our home into the cosmos. Inevitably, there are also moments of loss. Over the course of long years, some members of the crew grow old and pass away. The ship's community honors them with heartfelt rituals. In a quiet airlock ceremony, they may release the ashes of the departed into space, committing their spirits to the stars they journeyed among. As the small cloud of ash drifts out into starlight, those gathered bow their heads, sharing stories of their friend's life and contributions. These solemn moments bond the community even more tightly. They remind everyone that this voyage isn't undertaken by individuals alone, but by a lineage of souls carrying humanity's flame forward together. There are, of course, moments of doubt and longing as well. Now and then, someone will stand at a window that peeks out to the star-speckled abyss and feel the weight of isolation. They might wonder about the world their forebears left behind, or question whether their sacrifice will truly be worth it. In those quiet times, they remind themselves and each other that they are never truly alone. They have each other, a close-knit family of travelers sharing the same destiny. And beyond that glass lies the promise that gives them all purpose. A new star glimmers ahead in the darkness, the beacon of a future home for their descendants. Holding on to that hope, they carry on, day by day, generation by generation, knowing that the hardships of the journey are paving the way for a new chapter of humanity. Preparing for the eventual arrival is a task passed from one generation to the next. Onboard instructors teach not only about Earth's past, but also about the world that awaits them. Using simulations and virtual reality, they recreate landscapes of the destination planet as best as their probes and telescopes have revealed. Children play in these virtual forests and hills, getting a sense of open ground long before they ever feel real soil under their feet. They practice walking under different skies and imagining alien sunrises. These exercises spark excitement and ease anxiety about the unknown. By the time the ship finally approaches orbit, every young colonist has, in their imagination, already walked on the new world's surface and felt the warmth of its distant sun. As the generations pass, the journey subtly transforms the travelers. Their language, their customs, even their bodies adapt in small ways to life in motion. And then, after perhaps centuries of travel, comes the moment that all those years of patience were leading toward. The ship's sensors pick up something new ahead. The faint glow of the destination star, once just a pinpoint on their charts, grows steadily brighter with each passing year. Whispers ripple through the ship's community that they are finally closing in on their new home. Excitement and a touch of nervous uncertainty spreads among the people. Parents tell their children, "Soon we will see a real sky." Children who have only known metal walls press against viewports, hoping for a first glimpse of the promised world. Soon the ship begins its final approach. Engines that had pushed them forward for so long now burn in reverse, slowing the vessel down after a lifetime of coasting. In the observation dome, families gather to witness the first sight of their new world. At first, it is only a tiny speck near that far-off sun. Day by day, it grows, becoming a disk with swirls of white clouds and the distinct colours of continents and seas. One can imagine the hush that falls when they finally see an alien dawn from orbit, a sunrise spilling golden light over the curve of a strange planet that will become their home. Tears well up in the eyes of some observers, moved by the beauty and significance of this moment. After generations adrift in space, a haven solid and real lies before them. Now comes the moment of first arrival. Landing craft detach from the mothership and descend through the alien sky. Through wisps of cloud, the new world reveals itself below. Sweeping landscapes, strange yet inviting. When the first explorers step out onto the soil, the sensation is surreal. The gravity might be slightly lighter or heavier than Earth's. The colour of the sky is a bit different under an unfamiliar sun. A gentle wind, never before felt by human cheeks, brushes against their suits. The crew gathers, and one by one they remove their helmets when tests show the air is safe, letting the fresh extraterrestrial breeze fill their lungs. For the first time in history, humanity has set foot on an exoplanet that will become a new home. They work quickly to establish a foothold on this alien land. Prefabricated shelters are unloaded and assembled into the colony's first homes. Machines and robots, brought along or sent ahead, help prepare the ground for living and farming. The settlers carefully test the soil and water, learning how this environment compares to the one humanity came from. Every observation is a discovery. The way the breeze moves through strange, colourful alien foliage, or how the ground feels springy underfoot after a lifetime on metal decks. Soon, a cluster of habitation domes and research labs rises amid the foreign landscape, a small beacon of human life on a distant planet. In those first days, the colonists adjust to wonders and challenges in equal measure. Some find themselves startled by the sheer openness of the outdoors after a life inside walls, a horizon extending far away, and a sky vaulting high above without any boundaries. They watch sunsets that paint the alien sky in unfamiliar colours and marvel at how everything beneath that sky is new. Among the countless stars overhead, they know one of them is the distant sun that once shone on their ancestors' faces back on Earth. Under these new heavens, they hold a quiet celebration to mark the official founding of humanity's second home. There is laughter, and there are tears, gratitude, and a pang of homesickness intermingled as they dedicate themselves to thriving on this world. Every day on this new planet brings fresh wonders. The sky here has its own personality. In daylight, the sunlight might have a different hue, painting the world in subtle, unfamiliar tones. At night, twin moons may climb across the sky, casting gentle silver and blue glows over the landscape. The constellations above are entirely rearranged. None of Earth's familiar star patterns remain. The colonists begin inventing new names for these unfamiliar star clusters, creating stories about them just as humans once did under ancient skies long ago. Each sunrise and sunset here reminds them how far they have come, yet how at home they can feel under any sky once it becomes theirs. As the settlement stabilizes, small teams venture beyond the immediate landing site to explore the surroundings. Outfitted in light protective gear, explorers trek across nearby hills and valleys, mapping terrain and collecting samples of soil and air from farther afield. They discover features that until now were only blurry smudges in probe images. A crystal-clear lake nestled among rocky cliffs, a sprawling plain where strange rock spires cast long shadows at dusk. Each expedition returns with tales of the new land, how the wind whistles through alien canyons, or how the ground springs underfoot where unique vegetation carpets the soil. These first-hand experiences turn the unknown into the familiar, bit by bit, as the colonists learn the character of their new world. Perhaps most thrilling is the discovery of indigenous life. One afternoon, near the edge of a mossy crater, an explorer spots a moving creature, small and curious, unlike any animal from Earth. It has gentle eyes and a feather-like coat of scales, and it watches the humans from behind fern-like alien plants. The explorers remain still, hearts quickening with excitement. Slowly, the creature creeps closer to sniff the air before scurrying away into the underbrush. This brief encounter confirms that life indeed thrives here in its own way. The colonists carefully document every plant and animal they find, marveling at the ingenuity of nature on this world. They tread lightly, determined to respect and preserve the ecosystem that is now intertwined with their own fate. In the weeks and months that follow, the settlers truly put down roots, both literally and figuratively. They plant the first saplings brought from Earth, hopeful they will take hold in the alien soil. Under the light of a sun, similar to yet distinct from our own, they learn to cultivate crops. Every green sprout that pushes up from the ground is a tiny victory, a sign that life from Earth can indeed flourish here. Alongside the Earth flora, they carefully study the native landscape, cataloguing its quirks and patterns as they settle in. Each day brings new lessons about the weather, the seasons, and the ecology of this planet, as human life begins weaving itself into the planet's natural rhythms. With time, the colony becomes a small town, complete with dwellings, first simple prefab shelters, and later sturdier homes crafted from the planet's stone and soil, along with gardens and gathering halls. Children born here grow up under alien skies, never having seen Earth, just as, generations ago, some on the ship never saw a planet until arrival. These children chase each other over open fields that once were barren, their laughter echoing in the new air. The settlers take pride in knowing that humanity will endure in this place, that our species now lives beneath more than one sky. High above, the starship that carried them remains in orbit, a silvery speck that crosses their sky at twilight. Its long journey is complete, and now it serves as a guardian in the heavens, an outpost filled with equipment and memories. Occasionally, supply shuttles run between the ship and the surface, ferrying down remaining tools and materials to help the colony. Some colonists talk of one day converting the old vessel into a permanent space station or observatory. For now, each time they catch sight of its glinting form moving against the stars, they're reminded of the long road they travelled and of the vessel that was their home through the dark. That moving star in the sky is a symbol, a reassurance that even in this new world, a piece of their past watches over them. In the first year on this world, the colonists also set aside a moment for remembrance. On a gentle rise overlooking the settlement, they erect a simple memorial, a smooth stone etched with the names of those who embarked on the journey, but did not live to see landfall. At sunset, the community gathers there. They light a lantern for each lost friend and ancestor, and stand in silence as the planet's breeze carries their thoughts. In that hush, they silently thank their forebears for the gift of this future, and vow to honour their memory by caring for this new home. As time goes on, the colonists experience the planet's weather in full. One afternoon, dark clouds gather over the settlement and release a gentle rain. Instead of hurrying for cover, many colonists walk outside, faces turned upward, laughing as they let the raindrops splash on their skin. For some, it's the first real rain they have ever felt. Children and adults alike lift their arms to the sky, spinning and whooping with joy, making footprints in the wet new soil. Laughter echoes across the landing site as everyone revels in the long mist sensation of natural rain. Later, when a beautiful double rainbow arches across the strange sky, they see it as a symbol of renewal, nature's quiet welcome to their presence on this world. With time, the colony grows into a community. In a symbolic gesture, they send a message beam back toward Earth, a greeting across the light years, announcing that the long journey succeeded. They aim their powerful transmitter at the distant sun and send a brief, heartfelt transmission. We are here, we have arrived, and we are home. They know it will take years, perhaps generations, for that message to reach humanity's cradle, but they send it with hope. Someday, far in the future, ears on Earth will hear faint words from the stars. We made it. We survived. Humanity lives on a new world, beneath an alien sky. Now that we have journeyed to another world, and even planted our feet on a new soil, the question of whether we are alone in the universe feels more poignant than ever. Standing on alien ground under strange constellations, humans can't help but wonder if somewhere among those countless stars, other eyes are looking back at us. It's a question as old as our first dreams of the cosmos, one that will soon find its answer in the most unexpected way. For ages, humanity has gazed at the stars and asked the profound question, are we alone? That question finds its answer one quiet day when a signal, unmistakably artificial in origin, is detected coming from the depths of space. It might be a sequence of pulsing radio waves or a patterned flash of light, something clearly crafted by an intelligence beyond Earth. Excitement and trepidation ripple through our species. After so long peering into a silent sky, we have finally heard a whisper from another mind. Back on Earth and across human colonies, billions of eyes turn skyward or fix on screens as this saga unfolds. The day the alien signal is confirmed, humanity collectively holds its breath. People gather in city squares and remote observatories alike to listen for each new transmission. Nations set aside differences to speak as one, agreeing that our reply must represent all humankind. When news spreads that an actual meeting will take place, a mix of nervousness and exhilaration sweeps across the globe. In that anticipatory hush, humanity feels more united than ever, as if all of Earth has become one small village awaiting the arrival of long-expected visitors. The alien starship itself becomes visible as it draws nearer to our solar system, a strange, elegant craft, unlike any made by human hands. Through telescopes and imaging probes, we glimpse its design, perhaps a sleek, elongated hull that shimmers with unknown materials, or multiple ring-like structures slowly rotating. It moves with quiet confidence, decelerating deliberately as it approaches the inner planets. Its very presence, gliding calmly among the familiar planets of our sun, feels almost surreal. Many had wondered if aliens would appear monstrous or unfathomable, but seeing their ship, one senses intellect and purpose, not menace. It is a ship built to explore, not so unlike our own vessels, and that realization brings a comforting sense of kinship, even before the two species meet face to face. After careful communication across light years, the day finally comes when two species stand before one another for the first time. From the distant world that sent the signal, an alien vessel arrives in our cosmic neighborhood. It approaches slowly, deliberately, as if aware of the significance of this encounter. Humanity watches with a mix of awe and hope as an emissary from another civilization prepares to meet us. A meeting place is arranged, perhaps a point in space between our worlds, or a base on a neutral moon, where representatives can safely greet each other. And then, in a moment destined to be recounted for millennia, human beings at last come face to face with intelligent life that did not arise on Earth. The alien beings are astonishing to behold. They step forward from their ship with movements that seem both unfamiliar and graceful. Perhaps they are taller than humans, with elongated limbs and skin that shimmers under the harsh light of a nearby star. Their appearance is unlike anything on Earth, a different biology shaped by a different world. Yet in their posture and the careful tilt of their heads, we recognize the universal sign of curiosity. They too are studying us with intense interest. In their large, shining eyes, or perhaps other sense organs, we sense an intelligence and caution not unlike our own. In that instant, both species realize that neither is truly alone in the cosmos. The first contact is careful and gentle. A human representative raises an open hand in greeting. After a pause, an alien mirrors the gesture with what could be interpreted as their hand or appendage. No words are understood yet, but a bridge is being formed in gestures, tones, and mutual respect. Perhaps one of our scientists plays a simple melody on a speaker or shows a picture, and moments later, an alien produces a series of musical tones in reply. Each side strives to say, in its own way, "We come in peace. We wish to understand." Although their languages are still mysteries to each other, a friendly intent needs no translation. Slowly, patiently, they exchange basic symbols, drawing shapes on tablets or tracing figures in the air to find common reference points. A circle might come to represent a planet. A sequence of taps or tones is recognized as a way to count numbers. They point to the sky and back to the ground, learning the concepts of world and home. A human points toward the sun and speaks the word Earth, then points to themselves. An alien makes a similar gesture towards the stars, perhaps naming their own home. With these humble building blocks, what was once an unfathomable gulf between species begins to narrow, filled with the first glimmers of shared understanding. In the hours and days that follow, communication slowly improves. Over time, basic words are exchanged. Pictures are drawn and pointed to. Even shared sounds become the first elements of a common vocabulary. One of our astronauts offers a gift, a small object from Earth, perhaps a simple flowering plant cutting, or a piece of artwork representing our world. In return, an alien produces a carefully crafted token from their own culture. These exchanges, though simple, carry profound meaning. Both sides are essentially saying, "We welcome you. We share something of ourselves." During one exchange, the human team offers a breathtaking photograph of Earth as seen from space, a luminous blue marble swirled with white clouds. The aliens study it closely. Though their expressions are hard for us to read, we sense a quiet awe in their careful gaze and gentle movements. In return, the alien explorers share a panoramic image of their own home world. We see a sky with two pale moons, strange violet forests covering rolling hills under a soft lilac sun. The humans present gasp softly at the sight of an alien landscape so beautiful and unearthly. In that moment, both species realize they are trading treasures, intimate glimpses of each other's home, the places that shaped their civilizations. As understanding deepens, both species trade more glimpses of their histories, their music, their sciences. Imagine the moment we show them an image of Earth with its vast blue oceans and green continents, and they in turn reveal a view of their home's starry night or perhaps city lights under alien constellations. Each new discovery is met with quiet wonder and gentle excitement. Despite all the differences between us, they find, and we find, that there are universal experiences we share: curiosity, hope, the bonds of family and community. In learning this, the vast gulf between our worlds begins to feel just a little smaller. This first encounter is only the beginning. In the days that follow, careful plans are made for continued communication. There will be more meetings, more patient exchanges of language and knowledge. Perhaps one day, ambassadors of humanity will travel to the aliens' homeworld, or alien scholars will visit Earth, each side eager to learn more about the other. The road ahead is uncertain, yet bright with promise. Both civilizations now know they are not solitary in the great cosmic ocean. They have found companions in the dark, and together they can share the light of understanding. The universe that once felt cold and empty is now warmed by the glow of greeting and the prospect of friendship across the stars. In the wake of this encounter, humanity's view of the cosmos is transformed. We know now that the starry sky holds not just distant suns and uninhabited worlds, but also neighbors with their own stories and wisdom. The knowledge that we are not alone fills us with a profound sense of connection and humility. Many on Earth find new purpose and unity, realizing that in the cosmic ocean we truly have company. Old divisions among nations seem to shrink a little in the face of this shared truth. All the myths, hopes, and fears we once projected onto the idea of alien life crystallize into a new reality. Intelligent beings exist beyond Earth, and we have met them. When humans gaze up at the night sky now, we see it differently, not as a void, but as a community of worlds. And somewhere, under the light of another sun, our new friends might be gazing skyward too, thinking of us. The universe feels a little smaller and far more welcoming than ever before. As we voyage deeper into the cosmos, we come to realize that we are also travelers in time. Distance and time are intertwined in the fabric of the universe. For those who journey to distant stars by conventional means, the trip isn't measured only in miles or kilometers, but in years, sometimes in generations. Venturing out across space also means leaping forward in time, arriving in a future far removed from the era when one departed. This is the strange truth of relativity. By moving at extraordinary speeds, or by sleeping through long voyages, we experience time differently than those we left behind. Imagine a spacecraft capable of incredible speed, departing Earth on a journey to a far-off star, and then returning. On board, a handful of astronauts experience time almost normally as they accelerate to a significant fraction of light speed. To them, perhaps only a few years pass during the voyage out and back. But when they finally return home, everything has changed. What was a short adventure for the crew has been decades, even centuries, on Earth. The cities they left behind have transformed. Technology has advanced. Generations of people have come and gone. They step out of their ship as travelers, not just of space, but of time, returning to a future they could only imagine when they departed. This is not mere fantasy. It is a consequence of the physics of our universe. The faster you travel, the more time slows down for you relative to those you left behind. Over a century ago, Albert Einstein's theories first revealed this strange property of time and space. Astronauts in orbit today experience tiny fractions of it. Clocks on fast-moving spacecraft tick ever so slightly slower than those on Earth. In an interstellar voyage at near light speed, the effect becomes dramatic. relativity turns long journeys into one-way trips to the far future. It's not only high speed that can send someone into the future. Gravity, too, can warp time's flow. Near a massive object like a black hole or neutron star, time moves more slowly compared to farther away. An explorer who dared to orbit close to the edge of such a dark giant might experience only hours or days, while for the rest of the universe years or decades could pass. Few scenarios illustrate the extremes of time better. A traveller could leave, circle a dense star, and return to find that eras have swept by elsewhere. These natural time machines show how flexible and strange time can be on the grand cosmic stage. There are stories imagined about just how extreme this time twisting can become. One tale envisions a daring mission skirting the edge of a neutron star, the compact, massive remnant of an exploded sun. The crew orbits that dense object for what feels to them like a single week of research. But when they break away and return home, they find generations have gone by. For the people awaiting them, a lifetime has passed, while for the crew, it was only days. Such a scenario illustrates the almost unbelievable power gravity has to bend time's flow. It remains a cautionary legend, underscoring how carefully we must plan any venture that dances near such massive cosmic objects. Not all journeys into the future require bending the laws of physics. Some can be achieved simply through patience and sleep. Imagine a person leaving on a long voyage who decides to slumber through the decades. In a state of suspended animation, deep, dreamless sleep, their body barely ages while outside the universe marches forward. When they awaken, perhaps 100 years later, it is as if they have stepped out of a time capsule. To them, only an instant seemed to pass in the quiet of sleep, but the world they open their eyes to is brand new. Loved ones back home have long since lived out their lives. A new generation now walks the earth. Our traveller finds themselves in a future world as a living relic of an earlier time, facing the wonder and challenge of catching up with the years they skipped. For the time traveller arriving in a distant future, the world can be overwhelming at first. Familiar landmarks may be gone or changed beyond recognition. New technologies define everyday life. Buildings that soar in impossible shapes. Vehicles that float silently through air. Diseases that once plagued humanity, now cured and forgotten. Our traveller moves through a future city wide-eyed, marvelling at achievements that were once only dreams. There is awe in witnessing how humanity has grown and solved problems that seemed insurmountable in the past. And yet, amidst all that change, they still find points of comforting continuity. Children chasing one another in a park, people laughing and sharing stories over a meal. It reassures the traveller that while society advances, the fundamental aspects of human life, love, play, community, remain recognizable and reassuring. From the perspective of those in the future, this returning voyager is a living relic of history, walking in their midst. They welcome the traveller with curiosity, respect, and compassion. Imagine meeting someone who stepped out of a bygone century to the future society. This person carries stories and memories of a world they know only from old books and recordings. Scientists and historians gently ask them about the past, eager to fill gaps in knowledge with first-hand recollections. Children sit wide-eyed as the traveller describes what life used to be like in earlier days. By bridging past and present, the traveller finds a new purpose: to serve as a witness, sharing wisdom from their time and seeing how that wisdom has blossomed or been learned anew in a future they helped create simply by making the journey. The prospect of leaping ahead into future centuries is both thrilling and poignant. A traveller who takes such a journey trades the world of their own time for the chance to witness days beyond their era. They carry the legacy of the past into that future, a living bridge between what was and what is yet to be. Through their eyes, we see how far we have come and how far we still might go. These voyages through time remind us that the future is out there, waiting, and that moving through the cosmos means moving into tomorrow. Our adventures have carried us outward into space and forward through time. Yet there is another direction left to explore, sideways, into the realm of possibility. What if the universe itself has other versions, parallel realities, where the circumstances of existence are different? Modern science and science fiction alike pose this tantalizing question, hinting that beyond the boundaries of our own reality, countless alternate worlds could be woven into the tapestry of existence. These are the parallel paths, journeys not to distant planets or future eras, but to universes that run alongside our own, each with its own story. The idea of parallel realities suggests that everything that is could have been different. Perhaps there is another version of you in another world, living a life with small alterations or major changes. Imagine universes where history diverged, one where an ancient empire never fell and human technology advanced millennia earlier, or one where a crucial invention, electricity perhaps, was discovered centuries sooner, propelling society along a different course. There might be worlds almost like our own, with only subtle differences, a storm that ended a week earlier, a decision in your life made the opposite way, and worlds dramatically unlike ours, where life itself took a completely different form, or intelligent beings evolved under different stars. Science offers a few intriguing hints that parallel universes could be more than pure fantasy. Some interpretations of quantum physics suggest that every time a choice is made or a random event occurs, reality might split, creating new branches for each possible outcome. Meanwhile, cosmologists theorize that our universe might be just one bubble among countless others, born in an ever-expanding cosmic foam, each bubble with its own laws of nature. If any of these ideas are true, then the reality we know is just a single page in an endless library of worlds. What would it be like to peek into one of these alternate realities? Perhaps, in some far future, explorers will learn to open doorways between worlds. One day, a scientist might step through a shimmering portal and find herself in a version of her hometown that is not quite the same. The streets and buildings are familiar, but details differ. Technologies are more advanced, and events she remembers unfolded in new ways. She might encounter people who, in her reality, took different paths in life. Perhaps an old friend who in our world moved away, but in this one stayed. Or a loved one who pursued a completely different career. Walking this alternate Earth would feel like wandering through a dream, everything recognizable yet subtly changed, as if the world had rhymed with our own rather than duplicated it. Not all alternate worlds would be so familiar or gentle. Some could be profoundly strange. There might be realities where Earth followed a completely different path. Imagine a world where the age of dinosaurs never ended and no human ever walked the land. In that universe, perhaps intelligent life has scales and wings, descendants of creatures we never met, or another species rose to create cities in our place. In other universes, Earth might not exist at all, never forming in the cosmic timeline, and instead another planet around a distant star carries the torch of civilization. The possibilities are limited only by imagination, each universe a canvas of what-ifs, where nature and history play out in myriad ways. At present, these parallel paths remain entirely theoretical. We have no portal or starship that can slip between realities. For now, alternate universes live in the realm of thought experiments and speculative fiction, where they inspire us to think about our own world in new ways. They challenge us to consider how fragile and unique our reality may be, how small changes could lead to vastly different outcomes. In that sense, exploring alternate realities is a journey of the mind, an exploration of possibilities that expands our understanding of what existence could be, even if we never physically visit these other worlds. Sometimes one might even wonder if our minds catch glimmers of these parallel worlds in subtle ways. That uncanny feeling of déjà vu, the eerie sense of having lived a moment before, sparks the imagination. Could it be a brief overlap, a whisper from a different path our life took in another universe? It remains only a fanciful idea, but it carries a hint of mystery. It reminds us that reality could be far more layered than it seems, and that our lives might be just one variation among countless melodies playing out across the cosmos. Through the lens of alternate realities, we also explore our hopes and fears. In some imagined universes, humanity overcomes challenges like war or disease early on, creating utopias that reflect our brightest aspirations. In others, our mistakes are magnified, giving glimpses of paths we're relieved not to have taken. These stories and speculations serve as both warnings and inspiration. They show us how different choices might lead to brighter or darker destinies. And in doing so, they encourage us to cherish the path we're on and strive to make the best of our own reality. After all, among infinite possibilities, we have the gift of living in this world, and what we do with it is up to us. Each of these journeys, across the stars, through time, or into parallel realities, expands our understanding of what might lie ahead. And still, the horizon of imagination stretches further. Even after exploring distant planets and alternate universes, we find there are always new frontiers of possibility emerging just beyond our sight. Our voyage is far from over. With minds open to wonder, we continue onward into the unknown, ready to discover whatever the next chapter holds. The spirit of exploration and imagination carries us forward, ensuring that as one chapter of our journey ends, another is already beginning among the stars. In the silent expanse of time, we drift further into the unknown. The present and the near future fade behind us, and ahead lies a realm beyond imagining. We travel now into the far future, where the familiar boundaries of life and civilization dissolve. It is a journey beyond flesh and blood, beyond the confines of a single world, or even a single galaxy, into the ultimate fate of all things. At first, the change comes gradually. In the centuries beyond our own, people begin to augment their bodies with technology, artificial limbs stronger than flesh, microscopic robots healing their cells, implants enhancing their minds. Each step makes the next one easier. Over time, the divide between human and machine grows thin. Perhaps there comes a day when the first human mind is successfully uploaded into a computer, achieving a form of digital immortality. It might feel like a miracle, a life saved from death by transferring it into circuits and code. In that moment, the era of post-biological life dawns, quietly and irrevocably. Beyond flesh and blood, life begins to shed its old limitations. In an age far ahead, humanity's children are no longer made of fragile skin and bone. They have transformed themselves, transcending biology as we know it. What was once human has become something new. Beings who can change their bodies as easily as we change clothes, or exist entirely without a permanent body. The lines between organism and machine have blurred, then vanished. Minds once trapped in mortal bodies now flow freely through circuits and networks. Consciousness becomes as fluid as starlight, able to pour into any shape or form that can house it. Imagine beings of pure intellect, their thoughts dancing at the speed of light through vast digital realms. Freed from the slow processes of biology, these post-biological minds explore possibilities inaccessible to any flesh and blood brain. They might live within sprawling computer networks woven across entire planets, or inside enormous structures orbiting suns, drawing energy directly from starlight. For them, a star might be both a home and a power source, a bright guardian nourishing their endless contemplation. In this distant era, death and disease as we know them have nearly been forgotten. A mind encased in silicon and quantum circuits does not suffer illness or old age in the way organic bodies do. If its hardware body fails or becomes obsolete, the mind can be copied or transferred to new vessels, like a hermit crab finding a new shell. Individuals can live on, in one form or another, for spans of time that would seem like eternity to us. The concept of a single lifetime stretches and warps. A person might survive for millennia, periodically upgrading their forms. Others might choose to merge their consciousness with others, joining their minds into a collective being. There could be those who split themselves into many copies, sending each copy off to experience a different world, effectively living multiple lives in parallel. What it means to be an individual becomes a much more fluid idea than it is today. Not everyone may embrace these changes all at once. In the early days of these transformations, some humans choose to remain mostly biological, cherishing their natural bodies and traditional ways of life. Perhaps for a long time there are communities of flesh and blood people living alongside the post-biological ones. They might dwell in idyllic enclaves, maybe on Earth, under open skies and ancient trees, or on terraformed colonies where they maintain familiar human cultures, while across the stars their kin have become digital explorers. Over time, however, the advantages of post-biological life are hard to deny. Gradually, like the gentle turning of a tide, the balance shifts. Fewer and fewer remain who have not enhanced their minds or moved into new forms. Eventually, perhaps tens of thousands of years from now, the last holdouts of old humanity either join the new way of being or quietly fade away. What remains are the descendants of humanity in forms we would barely recognize, yet they are still heirs to our dreams. Those who have transcended the flesh live in many different ways. Some become almost like spirits of the digital world, existing mostly in simulated realities. Whole civilizations might exist as software, living in virtual worlds that to them are as real as any physical planet. In these vast inner universes, digital people build kingdoms of imagination. They might explore recreations of Earth's past, strolling ancient streets that no longer exist, or design entirely new realms with laws of physics unlike our own, indulging in flights of fancy made possible by their computational omnipotence. Time can flow differently in such digital domains. Subjective centuries might pass in mere hours of outside time. A long real-time journey between stars might feel like a short dream to those who slumber in code, their minds occupied in rich virtual lives while their ship slowly crosses the gulfs of space. Others choose to maintain a presence in the physical universe, forging new kinds of bodies for themselves. Some become android beings, walking in forms that resemble their old human shape, but made of advanced materials that can withstand extreme environments. Imagine a traveler fashioned of diamond and steel, able to stride upon the surface of an airless moon without a spacesuit, gazing directly at the unfiltered stars with sensors far sharper than human eyes. Others cast off humanoid shapes altogether and opt for forms more suited to their needs, perhaps spreading their consciousness across a swarm of tiny robots, or inhabiting the dense circuitry of a starship, becoming one with the vessel that carries them. A particularly radical form of existence might be swarms of intelligent nanomachines, tiny robots, each no larger than a dust mote, imperceptible to the naked eye. A single such nanobot is almost nothing, but when trillions join together, they function like a colossal distributed mind. These swarms can assemble into any shape or simply drift as a sparkling cloud. Picture a ghostly, shimmering mist wafting through the twilight skies of some future world. To an unknowing observer, it might just look like a strange luminescent cloud. Yet within that cloud, millions of minds could be interacting, debating, playing, and learning. Such a swarm might ride on solar winds from star to star, carrying its collective consciousness gently across the cosmos. Despite shedding the biological shell, these beings remember their origins in flesh. They carry forward the legacy of humanity's curiosity, creativity, and spirit. The fundamental desires that drove humans remain, though they may be expressed in novel ways. They still seek companionship, understanding, and purpose. Perhaps they trade art made of gravitational waves, weaving patterns in spacetime as a form of expression, visible only to those with the right instruments. Perhaps they compose music from the pulsating harmonies of pulsars, turning the rhythmic flashing of neutron stars into symphonies. Their emotional lives could encompass feelings we cannot name, yet love, joy, wonder, and even nostalgia might persist in forms we'd recognize. We can imagine one reminiscing about the experience of having a human body, the way one might recall childhood, with fond but distant memory. What is it like to sense the world through a web of electronic sensors spread across a solar system? Or to feel the gentle warmth of a sun, not on skin, but directly in one's energy receptors? These experiences are beyond anything we know, yet we can try to imagine them in our dreams. Perhaps to such a post-biological being, drifting in the light of a star feels like floating in a warm ocean. Perhaps perceiving the intricate electromagnetic chatter of the galaxy, the signals of pulsars, the glow of nebulae and radio waves, the faint hiss of cosmic background radiation, is like hearing a faint, beautiful music always in the background. As the eons pass, minds like these spread outwards. No longer tethered to one planet or confined by fragile bodies, they find it easier to voyage across the stars. Long journeys that would have once seemed impossible for a short-lived creature of flesh are now well within reach. A consciousness that can hibernate in a machine or slow its thoughts to a crawl can let millennia pass as a brief lullaby. A digital mind can endure centuries of travel as calmly as a human might endure a long night's sleep. In sleek, durable vessels, perhaps equipped to sustain and repair themselves for millennia, or even as streams of data riding on beams of light, the post-human explorers set sail into the cosmic ocean. Each star system becomes a port of call. Some travelers become settlers, deciding to stay and orbit a friendly star and build a new world around it. They might construct habitats in the star's orbit, vast rings or swarms of structures studded with living spaces and computational nodes. drawing on the star's energy to sustain their civilization. In essence, they turn uninhabited solar systems into new homes, artificial worlds and virtual paradises encircling distant suns. Other travelers remain eternal nomads, drifting endlessly from star to star. They might roam in grand, self-contained ships, or simply send their consciousness ahead as laser beams carrying their mind's pattern to be reconstructed by receivers light years away. Some could be content to simply observe and think, taking in the majestic variety of the galaxy as they wander, gathering knowledge and experiences as souvenirs of their journey. Over time, Earth itself fades in their memory, not from lack of love, but because so many new experiences accumulate and so much distance lies between them and the old home world. Perhaps these far-flung beings keep Earth as a cherished story, like we remember our childhood home, a place of beginnings, always dear, even as we move on. But now their home is effectively the galaxy itself. They move among the stars, with confidence and ease, bodies of metal and light, minds as spacious and subtle as the heavens. As they explore, they also transform the places they touch. Where once there were only barren asteroids or lifeless moons, now there might be outposts of thought and industry. We can picture a traveller gliding through the rings of Saturn, her consciousness inhabiting a body of flowing metal that soaks up sunlight for power. Once, long ago, she walked on two legs under blue skies. Now she swims in the vacuum between icy ring particles, watching golden sunlight refract through billions of drifting ice crystals, each like a tiny prism. To her, the rings sing, the particles' movements translated into a chiming music in her mind. She feels a sense of play and freedom as she weaves through the ring bands, studying their patterns and dancing among the moons. Another explorer, or perhaps the same mind in a different body, dives into the clouds of Jupiter. As a swarm of microscopic machines, she experiences the Jovian storms from the inside. She feels the buffeting winds as a tactile sensation across countless small sensors. The brilliant flashes of lightning in Jupiter's clouds are, to her, like neurons firing in a vast brain, thrilling and illuminating. She samples the atmosphere's complex chemistry, tasting the storm in a way beyond human senses, analyzing molecules in an instant. Riding Jupiter's magnetic field lines, she perceives the planet's enormous magnetosphere, not just as radiation, but as a shimmering aurora of data. The radiation belts become a source of energy and a canvas for artful experimentation as she modulates her. Swarms output to create ripples in the magnetic field, painting invisible patterns that only another like her might notice. Yet another mind has chosen to have no single location at all. It exists as a pattern of information flowing through the communications network of an entire solar system. This being has spread itself out, uploading parts of its mind to many relay stations from Mercury's orbit to the far edge of the Oort cloud. It is everywhere and nowhere in particular, a diffuse intelligence that treats the web of light-speed signals as its body. For this entity, a sunrise on Mars and a sunset on Earth might be experienced simultaneously, one through an observatory on Phobos, the other through a satellite high above Earth's night side. It thinks in many places at once, a conductor of a vast orchestra of sensors and devices spread over billions of kilometers. To an old-fashioned human perspective, it might seem godlike, an intelligence that pervades an entire planetary system. But to itself, it might feel simply like living a distributed life. Many perspectives, one being. In countless such ways, life after the flesh finds new modes of existence. The rise of post-biological life heralds a new chapter in cosmic history. Where once there were only stars and barren planets, now there are minds illuminating the darkness in their own creative ways. They are not bound by the needs that tied biological life to precarious little islands of habitability. A synthetic mind can thrive in the cold vacuum of space, draw energy from starlight or the faint glow of cosmic rays, and think in conditions that no organic brain could survive. Empty worlds, once desolate, become canvases for these beings. Perhaps they build glittering cities on Europa's frozen plains, cities that sparkle under Jupiter's distant light, with towers of ice and alloy inhabited by digital citizens. Or perhaps they create a lattice of machines stretching across the asteroid belt, turning countless rocks into the substrate of a vast computational system. In time, they might disassemble entire moons or minor planets to build more structures. The solar system that birthed humanity could become a humming nest of new life, most of it invisible to unenhanced human eyes. One could imagine looking at the solar system from afar in this future and noticing subtle changes. The sun might be surrounded by a faint haze, a swarm of solar collectors and habitats sipping its energy, like a cloud of fireflies around a lantern. The planets might sport rings of habitats or satellites glinting in starlight. Perhaps faint, regular signals in radio or laser light leak into interstellar space, evidence of constant communication between these myriad forms of post-humanity. To any distant observer, our system would no longer appear as a quiet backwater of biology. It would be alive with activity, a beacon of technological life. So unfolds the age beyond flesh and blood. Humanity, as it once was, has changed into something new. Yet in this transformation lies not an end, but a continuation of our story. The core of who we are, our search for meaning, our curiosity and creativity, our capacity for love and wonder, continues to live on in these new forms. They may no longer be human by the old definition, but they carry the torch of consciousness forward, lighting the way into futures we can scarcely comprehend. The Milky Way, our galaxy, is but one island in a vast cosmic sea. When the children of Earth have spread to every corner of our own galaxy, their gaze inevitably turns outward, across the unimaginable gulfs between galaxies. Beyond the Milky Way, countless other galaxies float in the darkness, each a swirling city of stars, with its own wonders, and perhaps its own inhabitants. How might our distant descendants attempt to bridge the tremendous void between these far-flung island universes? Between the Milky Way and the nearest large galaxy, Andromeda, lies a chasm of over 2 million light-years of emptiness. Even for minds that live long and travel far, this distance is staggering. Yet, in time, they will surely try. Perhaps the first journeys beyond our galaxy are slow pilgrimages, great arcs moving at a fraction of the speed of light, carrying hardy travelers who have all the time in the universe. Generations might live and die on board if they were still biological, but our post-biological adventurers can endure the long silence between galaxies in different ways. They can enter dreamlike states, slowing their perception such that millions of years pass as a gentle reverie. Or they send only machines or disembodied digital minds that can remain dormant and then reawaken. At journey's end, untouched by the passage of eons, we can imagine one of these intergalactic voyages, a sleek, self-contained worldlet, perhaps the size of a city, carrying thousands of minds in its memory banks. It slips away from the fringes of the Milky Way, leaving behind the familiar starry disk and venturing into the pitch-black gulf where stars become sparse. For ages, the ship sails through an almost starless night. Behind it, the Milky Way dwindles to a hazy band of light. And ahead, the great spiral of Andromeda is just a faint smudge. Inside the vessel, in virtual gardens and simulated libraries, the passengers pass the eons in tranquility. Perhaps they convene in dreamlike virtual gatherings once every few millennia of ship time, just to celebrate milestones of the journey. They watch through sensors as the glow of home recedes and a new glimmer grows slowly larger ahead. The first gentle light of Andromeda's outermost stars. After a voyage of 2 million years or more, the craft finally arrives at a new galaxy. Andromeda, majestic and large, its spiral arms sprawling across space. By the time they arrive, their kin back in the Milky Way might have already found faster ways across the void, or even sent messages ahead. But for these pioneers, setting foot, literal or metaphorical, in another galaxy is a triumph unmatched. They are farther from humanity's birthplace than any beings before them. As they unfurl their instruments, they behold alien skies crowded with unfamiliar constellations. Andromeda's stars are arranged in patterns no human eye has ever seen. Perhaps there are glowing nebulae of hues slightly different from those in the Milky Way, clusters of stars, denser or more sparse, or a core that blazes, even brighter. All of it is new, untouched by anything of Earth. In time, Andromeda becomes a home as well. Colonies take root around its stars, flourishing in whatever forms the settlers choose. Some may resemble classical colonies, perhaps biological humans or post-humans, terraforming suitable planets, breathing alien air under unfamiliar suns. Others might remain in space, constructing ring-like megastructures or computer networks orbiting Andromeda's stars, living in virtual realities while their habitats harvest energy. Over the millennia, communication links are established between Andromeda and the Milky Way civilizations. Beams of information, perhaps tightly focused lasers, or even more exotic means, travel between the galaxies. A greeting sent from Andromeda will not be heard in the Milky Way until millions of years have passed, and vice versa. But for minds that count lifespans in millions or more, a slow correspondence can still have meaning. They send messages knowing the reply will be received by beings in their distant future, yet trusting that their societies will endure to hear it. Our local group of galaxies becomes the stage of civilization. Besides the Milky Way and Andromeda, dozens of smaller dwarf galaxies abound in this group. These tiny galaxies, many orbiting the larger two, become waypoints and secondary homes. Long before venturing to Andromeda, explorers likely visited the large and small Magellanic Clouds, satellite galaxies of the Milky Way, full of gas and young stars. Perhaps those cloud galaxies were the first extragalactic colonies, settled by early post-humans eager to step beyond the Milky Way's edge. Other dwarfs, like Andromeda's companions, eventually join the network of inhabited worlds. Each offers unique environments. Some are rich in dark matter or exotic star clusters. Others are fossil galaxies, long ago deprived of gas and left with only ancient stars. Our descendants might weave a web of travel routes and communication among all these scattered islands. Over a span of millions or tens of millions of years, travel within the local group, while slow, could become routine for immortals. They may move back and forth between the Milky Way and Andromeda and the smaller galaxies on timescales that would terrify a human of our era, but are perfectly ordinary to them. In the skies of inhabited worlds within the local group, The view evolves profoundly over time. On some future planet circling an Andromeda star, an observer might see the Milky Way as a large glowing object in their night sky, much as Andromeda appears to us, but closer and grander. As eons pass, these two great galaxies draw closer together. Externally, to far-off observers, the Milky Way and Andromeda begin to distort, each pulled by the other's gravity. Internally, for any dwellers of the two galaxies, the long-foretold collision is approaching. Perhaps a species that started on Earth, having spread across both galaxies, will witness that cosmic event from uncountably many vantage points. In roughly 4 billion years, an eye blink to the immortals by then, the Milky Way and Andromeda will begin their slow dance of merger. To any beings alive at that time, whether biological, machine, or something in between, the night skies will change spectacularly. They might see Andromeda's hazy form growing larger generation by generation, its spiral arms stretching across the heavens. When the galaxies finally collide, what a show it will be. An outburst of new star formation as vast clouds of gas slam together, lighting up nebulae in brilliant nurseries. Titanic stellar fireworks as occasional close passes of stars perturb planetary systems or trigger flares. Perhaps even the merger of central black holes, sending ripples through spacetime. The cosmic ballet, though, is slow and stately. Over millions of years, starbursts ignite and fizzle, clusters form and drift, and the two galaxies intermingle their populations of stars. For our far future descendants, this collision need not be an apocalyptic threat. By then, they may have the technology to move entire star systems if need be, or to shield habitats from radiation bursts. They might actively manage parts of the merger, steering dangerous supernova-prone stars away from inhabited zones, or guiding their megastructures to regions where they can collect the fresh energy of newborn stars safely. They could treat the merger as a grand festival of celestial artistry, watching new constellations form and old ones warp into unrecognizable shapes, all while remaining safe through their advanced foresight and engineering. Eventually, after the chaotic embrace, the two galaxies settle as one. Astronomers of our time predict the result may be a large elliptical galaxy, sometimes nicknamed Milkomeda. To the inhabitants of that future galaxy, however, it will simply be home, one vast amalgam of what were once separate island universes. The distinction between Milky Way and Andromeda will fade into history, much as the names of ancient nations merge into broader empires, and then into even broader continents. In that future night sky, far removed from our present, any being looking up might see a heaven filled with the combined glories of both original galaxies. By the time the Milky Way and Andromeda have merged into one, our descendants, if they still exist and have not evolved beyond recognition, might have reached even further. The third spiral in our local group, the Triangulum Galaxy, would likely have been explored and settled as well. And beyond the local group, tantalizingly within reach, are other nearby groups of galaxies bound to our own. It's not impossible that before the accelerating expansion of the universe pulls everything apart, explorers set forth to the Virgo cluster, a massive cluster of galaxies about 50 million light-years away, or to other clusters in our supercluster. Perhaps like cosmic dandelion seeds, probes and colony ships were sent out in all directions while it was still feasible, establishing beachheads in various corners of the universe. If there are other civilizations out there, and it's hard to imagine humanity will be the only one forever, eventually these galactic pioneers might encounter them. One day, in some far-flung galaxy, the descendants of Earth could meet the children of a world that orbited an alien sun. Their first contact might not be a sudden dramatic moment, but a slow realization as signals are received and deciphered, or as they cautiously approach one another's territories, over vast distances, perhaps across hundreds of millions of light years, two great networks of life could touch and entwine. The universe at that point becomes something of a grand tapestry, woven from many strands of intelligence, each originating from its own cradle, but now all interlinked in a web of shared existence. Yet, as boundless as this expansion and connection may seem, it cannot continue forever unchecked. The universe itself imposes limits. Space is expanding, and that expansion is accelerating due to what we call dark energy. Even as our far future civilizations reach outward, more and more galaxies slip beyond their grasp. There is a cosmic horizon beyond which, eventually, nothing can be reached or even seen, because the space in between is stretching faster than light can travel. Understanding this, the sages and leaders of these advanced cultures might feel a poignant urgency. They know that if they wish to spread life and mind to other galaxy clusters, they have only a finite window, albeit one measured in billions or tens of billions of years, to do so. Perhaps they launch expeditions to as many accessible galaxies as possible, like a race to plant seeds before winter falls. Each successful colony in a distant galaxy is a triumph, a beacon set in place before the great curtain of cosmic night closes. Eventually, many billions of years hence, the universe will have expanded so much that distant galaxy clusters recede beyond communication. For any beings then living in our local group, now long since a merged megagalaxy, the rest of the universe will simply vanish from view. Galaxies that once peppered the night sky, reachable and full of mystery, will redshift into obscurity, their light stretched to undetectable wavelengths. Future astronomers in that time might not even realize there was once a multitude of galaxies. All evidence of them could be gone beyond the cosmic light horizon. For now, though, in the relative midlife of the cosmos, our descendants revel in a golden age of exploration and discovery. They converse across incredible distances, share art and knowledge among star systems spread over millions of light years, and fill the long intergalactic night with the gentle glow of their endeavors. Perhaps they establish some loose federation or commonwealth of galaxies, not an empire with a single ruler, distances are too vast for that, but a harmonious concert of many civilizations. Each world and culture would be unique, yet all linked by a lineage that ultimately traces back to a small blue planet that circled an ordinary star in a distant past. They may also encounter truly strange forms of life along the way. Perhaps organisms evolved to live in the thin gas of intergalactic space, or creatures that dwell in the hearts of neutron stars, or intelligent patterns in the magnetic fields of pulsars. The far future cosmos could be far more alive than our present guesses, once intelligence finds ways to thrive in places previously thought inhospitable. As these diverse forms of consciousness meet and mingle, the definition of life and mind expands. What began as a few sparks of life on scattered planets becomes a great cosmic fire of awareness, illuminating whole clusters of galaxies. Time flows on, and even the mightiest civilizations must face the great changes the cosmos brings. After the age of starlight and expansion comes an age of twilight and endings. Stars and galaxies themselves change, and eventually the universe begins to dim. Our journey now carries us into the time of eternal nightfall, the ultimate fate of the universe. In this far, far future, the bustling galaxies have quieted down. The brilliant age of starlight is drawing to a close. Stars, the engines of the cosmos, live billions or even trillions of years, but not forever. Even the small red dwarf stars, which burn their fuel so slowly they can shine for perhaps 10 trillion years, will eventually exhaust their supply of hydrogen. One by one, like candles guttering out, the stars across every galaxy wink dark. The cosmos transitions from what astronomers call the stelliferous era, the age of abundant stars, into the degenerate era, a time when starlight grows scarce. Imagine standing on a planet in that distant epoch, beneath a night sky not at all like our own. In our current sky, on a clear night far from city lights, thousands of stars are visible. But in that far future night, perhaps only a few of the very nearest stars remain visible, and even those are likely dim red dwarfs. The majestic broad band of the Milky Way would be gone. Nothing of that great shimmering river of stars would reach the eye. The familiar constellations would have faded or been altered beyond recognition. So much time has passed that the sky's once bright tapestry has become threadbare. By around 100 trillion years from now, an almost incomprehensible span, normal star formation will cease entirely. The galaxies will have used up or locked away the free hydrogen gas needed to birth new stars. Without new stars being born, the existing stars age and die. Long before this point, the massive blue giants and even sun-like stars burned out and died in spectacular supernovae or quietly as white dwarfs. By the 100 trillion year mark, even the longest-lived red dwarfs, which blaze gently for eons, have run out of fuel. They cool and dim into black dwarfs, hypothetical objects, since the universe isn't yet old enough for any to exist, that are essentially cold, dark, stellar embers. In this darkening cosmos, planets that once orbited living suns now circle stellar corpses or wander alone in the night. Many planets will have been ejected from their star systems entirely by gravitational interactions over such vast time. These orphan worlds drift through the interstellar, now intergalactic darkness, their oceans, if they had any, frozen solid, their atmospheres, if any, settled in stillness. Some advanced beings, if any remain, might cling to the last pockets of energy, perhaps orbiting a faint white dwarf for its remaining heat, or gathering around neutron stars that still emit particle winds. Others might create their own light, artificial fusion power plants shining like tiny suns where nature provides none. One potential refuge of energy in this era is the black hole. While black holes swallow light and matter, a spinning black hole can provide energy through certain mechanisms. Advanced beings might construct gigantic machines around rotating black holes to extract energy from them through processes like the Penrose process, which clever engineering could harness. They might also feed smaller black holes with matter to trigger jets of radiation that could be tapped, or use the disk of superheated material around an actively feeding black hole as a power source. Some theorists have even imagined habitats powered by carefully dipping generators into the boundary of a black hole's event horizon, a truly mind-bending feat of engineering, but one that an almost godlike civilization might achieve. And of course there's Hawking radiation. Black holes very slowly evaporate by emitting this faint radiation. For a stellar mass black hole, this takes an absurdly long time, on the order of 10^67 years. So initially it's not much use. But as a black hole shrinks, the Hawking radiation intensifies. In the final moments of a black hole's life, it radiates with the brightness of 1 billion suns for a few seconds. That's far off yet, but a very patient species might mark such events as significant, like the last sparks of cosmic fire. As more trillions of years pass, even those meager sources fade, If protons, the building blocks of atoms, are not perfectly stable, they will eventually decay. Current physics suggests protons might have a half-life around 34 years or more. If that's true, then over unimaginably long times, all the matter that remains, the remnants of stars, planets, and life, will slowly fall apart into lighter particles. Solid matter would literally evaporate at the atomic level. A mountain or a planet left alone in the darkness would, given enough time, crumble into a cloud of particles, not because of any external catastrophe, but due to the very fabric of matter giving way. If protons do decay, then by around 37 years or so, the last matter as we know it would be gone, transformed into radiation and a mist of elementary particles. Even if protons are perfectly stable, something we're not sure about, quantum tunneling can dissolve matter over stupendously long timescales. Given 10^50 or 10^60 years, even iron might spontaneously rearrange or fission due to quantum processes. One way or another, the complex forms of matter, planets, rocks, even atoms, are not truly eternal. The upshot is that as the degenerate era lengthens, the universe simplifies itself. Everything large or structured breaks down, leaving only fundamental particles drifting through an ever-expanding void. Black holes, those mighty gravitational traps, become the last significant objects in the universe. We enter what's sometimes called the black hole era. Galaxies are now mostly collections of dark remnants and black holes. Over extremely long times, even black holes lose their grasp. Stars that were flung out will wander alone. Those still bound may eventually spiral into their galaxy's central black hole, or be ejected by gravitational encounters. It's a slow unwinding of structure. Trillions upon trillions of years hence, virtually the only energy factories left are black holes. And they too are dying, ever so slowly. A black hole with the mass of our Sun takes 67 years to evaporate via Hawking radiation. More massive ones take even longer. The supermassive black holes in galaxy cores might take 100 years or more. But time, at this stage, is effectively limitless. Picture the universe when the last black hole is reaching its final moments. Perhaps it's on the order of 10 or 100 years since the beginning, a number so vast our minds balk. By now, all other organized energy sources have long faded. There may be no eyes or instruments left to see it, but imagine for a moment that there were. The black hole, which might have once anchored a galaxy, has shrunk to a critical size and begins to radiate noticeably. In its final seconds, it will unleash a torrent of light and particles, a furious blaze in the void, like the universe's last fireworks. For a brief moment, something shines again, and then, after that final flash, nothing. After the final black hole evaporates, we enter the ultimate darkness. This is the end of the black hole era, and the start of what some call the dark era. All that remains in the universe is a thin soup of extremely low energy particles. Photons, the ghosts of all the starlight and radiation that ever was, now stretched to near nothingness. Neutrinos, electrons, positrons, and other fundamental particles, sparsely and coldly drifting. The universe is effectively empty. The temperature approaches absolute zero, asymptotically creeping toward complete cold as expansion further dilutes what little energy remains. This is the heat death of the universe, maximum entropy, where no gradients exist to do anything useful. It is an eternal night that will never see a dawn, so far as physics can tell. The cosmos has expended all the free energy it had, and what's left is a near-static, silent expanse. Yet, even in this bleak vision, there is a kind of peace. The tumult of creation and destruction is over. The universe, having undergone birth, flourishing, aging, and death, now simply is. Every story that had a beginning has had its end. And in that final stillness, one could imagine a sense of completion. Some thinkers have speculated about what could happen in such far futures. Quantum fluctuations might occasionally produce a momentary spark of order, a random particle here, a fleeting complex of particles there. There's even the far-fetched notion of a Boltzmann brain, a self-aware entity that by sheer freak chance assembles from the chaos for an instant. But those would be like random flickers in an endless night, appearing without context, experiencing perhaps a flash of awareness, maybe thinking it's the only being in existence, and then dissolving back into nothingness. For any practical consideration, this is the end of the line. The curtains have closed on the grand cosmic play. If there were any final observers, they likely would have perished long before, or perhaps taken drastic actions like attempting to escape into a new universe if such a thing were possible. The stage is empty now. It is a somber scenario, the death of the universe, cold and quiet. But it's not a tragic collapse, rather a gentle fading away. There is a symmetry to it. A universe that began in a singular burst of light ends in quiet darkness. One could anthropomorphize and say it's as though the universe has finally gone to sleep after eons of activity. This far future night is eternal, but we, here, in our little window of time, can appreciate the fact that we witnessed the day. We were part of the cosmos when it was vibrant and full of light. And in some sense, as we think about the end of everything, it can make us cherish our present era even more. This bright springtime of the universe, when stars still shine and life has the warmth it needs. Before everything fades completely from view, let us turn our attention back to our own small part of this grand saga one last time. Among all these epochs and transformations, what of humanity itself? What legacy do we, these ephemeral beings, leave behind in the cosmic journey from the Big Bang to the final darkness? In the face of galaxies colliding and even the universe winding down, do the brief lives and dreams of human beings matter? Humanity's cosmic footprint may begin as a faint mark, but it grows with time. Our first ventures off Earth, the footprints pressed into lunar dust, the tire tracks left by rovers on Mars. These were the opening lines in a story of expanding beyond our cradle. Those footprints on the moon will remain undisturbed for millions of years, preserved in the airless silence, long after our cities on Earth have turned to dust. Our early space probes, too, have become silent ambassadors of Earth, drifting farther each year into the interstellar dark. Pioneer 10 and 11, Voyager 1 and 2. Each carries a small plaque or golden record etched with our messages and memories. On Voyager's golden disk, for example, are the sounds of our world, music from different cultures, the laughter of a child, greetings in dozens of human languages, even the brainwaves of someone in love. These tiny spacecraft are like messages in a bottle cast into a vast cosmic ocean. Millions of years from now, long after Earth's surface may have changed beyond recognition, these little probes will still be out there wandering the galaxy. Perhaps one day, far, far in the future, another civilization will stumble upon one. Even if they do not, the mere fact that they exist means that a piece of us travels onward, carrying evidence that we lived, we felt, we dreamed. In the immense emptiness between the stars, those faint artifacts bear witness. Once, there was a species on a small blue world who built machines to explore the unknown, and even in their loneliness and curiosity, said hello to the cosmos. As our technological civilization advanced, we also began to leak signals into space. For over a century, Earth has been surrounded by an expanding bubble of radio waves, old broadcasts of news, music, television, radar pings, a sphere now about 200 light-years in diameter. Within that shell of faint signals is a kind of accidental encyclopedia of mid-20th century humanity. Any alien listening within that range, and with the ability to detect extremely weak, dispersed signals, might catch a snippet of a Louis Armstrong trumpet solo, or a Winston Churchill speech, or a scratchy I Love Lucy episode, or even the Morse code of early wireless operators. Over time, these signals become harder to distinguish from background noise, and eventually they will fade out or be overtaken by other cosmic radio sources. But for a while, our electromagnetic voice does extend into the stars, a ripple in the galactic ocean, announcing that we, for a brief time, were here. If humanity's descendants flourish and spread among the stars, then our footprint becomes vastly larger. Every colony on a new world, every terraformed planet that comes alive with earthly flora and fauna is an extension of Earth's legacy. Consider a planet orbiting a distant sun, perhaps centuries or millennia from now, where forests of earth-born trees sway under an alien sky. The rustle of leaves, so familiar, occurs under the light of a star that never before shone on anything green until we arrived. On such a world, the life of Earth takes root and blooms anew, continuing the chain of life that began on our home world. In this way, the essence of Earth, not just human life, but all life that we cherish, could proliferate through the galaxy. The daisies and oaks and whales and honeybees of Earth might one day exist on many planets, a living legacy more profound than any monument. Our machines and digital creations are part of our cosmic footprint too. We've already sent out a handful of robots that, barring accidents, may long outlast us. A rover sitting dormant on Mars or the Moon might be visited many ages hence by our far future children, or by beings from elsewhere, and they would know that we made it. The technological artifacts we scatter could become the archaeological record of our species. And if we eventually send sophisticated AI probes to the stars, machine explorers carrying our knowledge, they might travel and endure far beyond our own lifespans, acting as emissaries of human civilization long after humans themselves are gone. Perhaps there will be digital archives safely stored on the Moon, or on spacecraft in stable orbits around the Sun, devices built to survive millions of years, waiting for whoever might find them. It's possible that long after Homo sapiens has vanished or evolved into something new, there will still be stories and ideas in the universe that originated with us. Our language might be spoken in a colony light years away. Our literature might be read by minds that have never seen Earth. Our music might be performed under an alien sky. In that sense, our cultural footprint, the intangible mark of our thoughts, can spread and take root beyond our existence. Just as we today still read the myths of ancient Sumer or the philosophy of ancient Greece, future beings, whether human-derived or completely alien, might learn something that we discovered or be inspired by art we created, or cautionary tales we left behind. Through them, some aspect of humanity would continue to participate in the cosmic saga. And what of Earth itself? Earth will not last forever. In about 5 billion years, the sun will swell into a red giant star, likely destroying our planet, or at least rendering it uninhabitable. Long before that, we might hope that humanity or its successors have moved on, not in sadness, but in growth, like a butterfly leaving a cocoon. Yet Earth will always be our first home, the origin point that any galactic historians would note. Perhaps advanced beings in the future will preserve Earth as a park or memorial, even if it means moving it or altering it. Or maybe Earth will be left to its own fate, to be consumed by the sun, or to freeze after the sun's light is gone. In either case, by then, what truly matters, the life and legacy of Earth, will hopefully have been distributed elsewhere, not lost with one single world. On Earth today, many of our works may seem colossal. Pyramids, great walls, towers scraping the sky. But in time, geology and weather will humble them. The pyramids might erode into featureless hills, given tens of thousands of years. Our concrete and steel will crumble surprisingly fast without maintenance. The longest-lived structures we've built might be the radioactive waste repositories meant to last 10,000 years or more. But even those will eventually be submerged by rising rock or ground to dust by glaciers in a future ice age. In a few million years, direct physical traces of our civilization on Earth's surface might be hard to find. Only subtle markers, like unusual concentrations of elements in sediment layers, a result of our industrial activity, might testify that we were here. That's why one of our most significant footprints had to be placed off-world. The footprints on the Moon, the artifacts left on Mars, the Voyager probes. These may persist far longer than anything on Earth. The Moon's footprints could survive tens of millions of years since there's no atmosphere to erase them. The Voyagers, unless they collide with something, could wander the galaxy for 1 billion years in principle, carrying that golden record through whatever realms they pass. These are incredibly fragile legacies in one sense, tiny objects in an endless void. Yet they are also durable in another, immune to weather, nearly inertially coasting forever. We have also begun creating intentional time capsules. There are projects like the Rosetta Disk, micro-etched with thousands of pages of human languages, stored in a nickel alloy expected to last millennia. Private groups have sent tiny archives into space, like a quartz crystal with Wikipedia etched on it, now on a Tesla Roadster orbiting the sun, or DNA samples and digitized human knowledge sealed in a lunar library on the Moon. These efforts, touchingly optimistic, aim to preserve a candle of memory against all odds. There is a deeply poetic way in which every one of us carries a cosmic legacy too. We are, as Carl Sagan famously said, made of star stuff. The very atoms in our bodies, the calcium in our bones, the iron in our blood, the carbon in our DNA, were forged in stars that lived and died before the Earth was born. We are literally the universe taking shape as humans for a brief time. And when we die, our atoms will return to Earth's biosphere or atmosphere. Eventually, they may become parts of new living things, or seep into the ocean, or blow on the wind. And in the far, far future, those atoms will journey on. Earth's atoms will disperse into space, perhaps via the sun's red giant exhalations, or by other means. Someday, some of the particles that were us will be part of new stars and planets forming far away. In that physical sense, a literal piece of humanity will recombine into the cosmos. On those future worlds, maybe some atom that was once in a human heart or a human hand will find itself in an alien flower or a raindrop under alien skies. Our material legacy is that we are of the cosmos and always will be. Matter that was put into a particular order for a while and then returned to the great dynamic recycling of the galaxies. On a grander scale, humanity's existence has subtly altered the trajectory of our planet and will alter other places too. We've changed Earth's atmosphere, not always for the better, moved more earth and rock in construction than many natural processes, and lit up the nights with city lights visible from orbit. If we become interplanetary, we will change Mars by terraforming it, introducing Earth life and atmosphere. We might mine asteroids and leave telltale patterns in their composition. If an alien geologist in 1 billion years studies Mars and finds a mix of Earth-origin microbes fossilized in Martian rocks, they'll know someone else intervened in Mars's history. If they examine the asteroid belt and see unusually uniform craters or material composition, they might deduce mining occurred. Essentially, by spreading out, we slightly re-script the natural evolution of celestial bodies. We might reposition comets or redirect asteroids for our purposes, effectively gardening our solar system. These acts become part of the environment, part of the story of the solar system, inscribed in its rocks and rings. And then there is the legacy of consciousness itself. Through us, a small part of the universe became self-aware. We, who emerged from stars and oceans, developed minds that could contemplate stars and oceans. The significance of that cannot be measured in physical terms, but it feels profound. In our art, our science, our curiosity, the cosmos has learned a bit about itself. When a child looks up at the night sky in wonder, that is the universe marveling at its own beauty through the lens of a human soul. Even if our species lasts only a cosmic moment, that moment is special because it brought meaning into a corner of the universe. The stories we tell, the knowledge we gain, these intangible things don't die easily. They propagate in other minds, in writings, in whatever comes after. Us. Perhaps that is our most vital legacy, that we noticed the universe and found it beautiful, and we told others. Ultimately, humanity's cosmic footprint will not be measured by monuments or spacecraft or even scientific discoveries alone, but by the continuation of the values we hold dear: the pursuit of knowledge, the creation of beauty, the protection of life. Our role in the cosmic story is small in scale, yet significant in substance. We were, in a sense, the dawn chorus of conscious life, among the first to sing in the darkness just before the cosmic noon. We took the fire of our sun and used it to reach out, to ask questions of the universe around us. That inquisitive, hopeful spark might be the greatest gift we give forward. If, in the distant future, some other beings piece together the history of the Milky Way, they might find a chapter about a humble species from a small planet orbiting a middle-aged star. A species that was born among apes and fear, yet reached for transcendence and understanding. A species that made mistakes and faced many trials, yet always kept looking up at the stars, striving to go further. And they might read that we, in our brief time, lit a lamp of consciousness and carried it high, if only for a short while, in the grand night. That will have mattered, because every contribution to the great epic of the cosmos adds to the fullness of existence. Now our journey has carried us across an almost unimaginable breadth of time and space, from life beyond flesh and blood to civilizations beyond the Milky Way, to the ultimate dusk of the universe, and finally to reflections on our own small place in it all. All that remains is to let this cosmic story gently come to rest, like a feather settling after a long flight. Beyond tomorrow, beyond the furthest horizon of time, there lies a great silence and mystery. We have peered as far as imagination allows into the distant future, a future that stretches into darkness and uncertainty. And yet, even as we envision the end of all things, we feel awe rather than despair. The cosmos is grand beyond measure, a vast tapestry in which each star, each life, each thought is a shining thread in an immeasurably large pattern. Together, we have traced some of those threads, weaving through time and possibility. Now, having reached the outer limits of speculation, we gently set the tapestry down. In the end, perhaps the universe is like a great story being told, with chapters of creation, of life, and eventually of quiet rest. We, as conscious beings, have been privileged to witness a few chapters and even to inscribe our own lines in the margins. As this part of the story draws to a close, we can imagine the universe itself settling into a deep slumber. Every event and memory of its long history safely recorded in the fabric of spacetime, like a storybook being softly closed. The stars once sang with the fiery music of creation. Galaxies swirled and collided in a dance across the cosmic stage. Life rose and yearned and wondered, giving the universe eyes and ears to know itself. Every moment, from the brilliant dawn of the Big Bang to the last flicker of a fading star, has been a note in that cosmic symphony. Now, in the quiet that follows the final note, one can almost hear an echo of that music, lingering like a gentle lullaby in the dark. A cosmic lullaby. Perhaps it is the soft background hum of the universe itself, the faint glow of the cosmic microwave background that is the remnant of the fiery beginning, now cooled and dim. Perhaps it is the whisper of particles flitting in the quantum vacuum, a random but gentle murmur that pervades even the emptiest space. If one could press an ear to the heart of the universe, maybe there is a subtle rhythm, even in the silence, the slow heartbeat of a cosmos that has seen ages upon ages and now rests. As we drift now toward the conclusion of our journey, we allow ourselves to simply float in that silence. In the mind's eye, see the darkness speckled with memories of light, distant stars and galaxies that we visited in our imagination. Each memory glows softly, a tiny consolation in the vast night. A blue planet bathed in sunlight, a spiral galaxy shining with billions of stars, a pair of galaxies merging in a spray of newborn stars, and finally, the faint glimmer of an almost empty universe, peaceful and still. These images soothe us. They remind us that though time moves ever forward and change is inevitable, the moments of wonder and meaning that flash into being are never lost. They live forever in the tapestry of what has been. The future we have explored is immense and humbling. It reminds us that all things, even entire galaxies and the fabric of reality, have their time and eventually transform. It also shows us that endings can be natural and even gentle, not a bang, but a gradual dimming to darkness. The universe will continue, in whatever form, but for now, our part in its story is enough. There is a kind of contentment in recognizing that we belong to something so vast and beautiful. Knowing this, we can finally rest, as one might after finishing a long, profound book, closing the cover with a sigh of understanding. Now, as this narration itself comes to a close, we embrace the quiet and the darkness, not with fear, but with a sense of profound peace. We have journeyed from the birth of stars to the death of the cosmos, and in doing so, we have glimpsed the grand tapestry of existence and seen how our small thread is woven in. Let's take a final deep breath of that wonder, and as we exhale, let out a contented sigh. Under the endless sky, whether it is jeweled with billions of stars or veiled by eternal night, there is a refuge of calm. We realize that we are part of something vast and enduring, and that simply by existing and bearing witness, we have added our verse to the cosmic song. In that realization, we find comfort. Perhaps you are lying here now, listening in the quiet dark, feeling the gentle pull of sleep. Picture the earth turning slowly beneath you, cradling you as it carries you through the night. Above, even if hidden by clouds or walls, the stars are scattered like silver dust across the sky. They shine down with ancient light that has traveled years or centuries to reach us. You are connected to those stars, made of their material, sustained by the warmth of one particularly special star, our sun. Feel the subtle embrace of gravity holding you where you lie. The same force that steadies your body also guides the planets and binds galaxies. In this very moment, you are held by the universe, safe in its gentle, immutable laws. Know that those stars shine down on you, and that across the vastness of space, countless others see their own sky and feel similar wonder. We are together under the same cosmos. The universe that birthed the stars also birthed the atoms in your heart. You are never truly alone, for you are inseparable from this great, beautiful entirety. The calm of the night, the soft darkness in your room or outside your window, is the universe's loving embrace, wrapping you in tranquility. And so, we bid good night to all the futures we imagined and all the distant tomorrows. The cosmic lullaby is playing softly now, a hush that settles over the universe and over us. We close our eyes, knowing that we are cradled by the same cosmos we've been contemplating. The stars above, ancient and steady, watch over our sleep as they always have. Around us, the infinite night is gentle and patient. Hush now. Relax. Let your breathing slow, deep and soft, like the ebb and flow of distant tides under a moonlit sky. You are safe here, in this moment, a child of the universe, drifting on the tranquil seas of existence. There is nothing more you need to do, no more distant epochs to chase. The journey is done for now. You can let go of any lingering thoughts. They too dissolve into the starlit darkness. The night is deep and full of peace. Let yourself be carried into sleep as softly as a mote of stardust on a quiet cosmic breeze. May your dreams be gentle and filled with faint, comforting echoes of the wonders we've shared. Perhaps a glimmer of a star here, a drifting spiral of a galaxy there, all in the far distance, like lanterns, guiding you through a pleasant dark. Know that you are part of something eternal and kind. In the grand embrace of the universe, you are cherished and you are at peace. Sleep now, beneath the ancient heavens and the promise of possible dawns yet to come. In this boundless and mysterious universe, you are home. You are safe. You are not alone. Let the silence of the cosmos lull you into a deep and restful sleep. Good night.